for points and prize money. In Apex Legends, it's every Tuesday night against other open squads, just like these teams used to be themselves. And then every Wednesday, they play against some of the best pros from all across North America. I'm talking C9, TSM, NRG, and more. Now, if you and your friends want to get in on the fun, make sure to head over to esportsarena.com right now to register and sign up for these qualifiers. You've got to get in ASAP, okay? Couple more qualifiers for Series E Apex Legends coming 2 weeks from now, but Guilty Gear Strive and Multiversus qualifiers just started this week. So make sure to get over there, sign up for what you want to compete in, and try and get in on Series E very, very soon. Now, not going to waste any further time. We've got 5 games ahead of us, and I know T Squared and Dia are itching to get into the action. So I'm going to hand it over to them as we get started with another night here of Series E Apex Legends qualifiers.
Series E.
Series E Apex Legends.
Apex Legends Series E Apex Legends starts right now.
Lion is down! Luxford is out! But with Lost Demonios gone, it's gonna be an exaggerated win now. They've got the angles, they've got the players, they've got the numbers, and they should have the win! It's been an amazing day of Series E. They're not done kills, actually ripping apart the final player already. That's gonna be elimination there.
I tell you what, T Squared, as soon as I heard Yeso say, let's not waste any more time, I was like, yep, can't agree more, let's get into it. Because I'm so excited, as always, to see what Series E brings to us, especially coming off the back of the performance that he mentioned yesterday from Meowdy, but also so many other teams that have made their way back to the finals through even more squads than we had participating yesterday, still to prove their mettle today.
Yesterday was lit. We saw the rise of some certain stars, and I'm excited to see what we have in store today because we already got a chance to see, and I know a lot of people have watched these games kind of progress throughout the qualification process because they're not being casted over. It's an opportunity to go and watch these players kind of go about their business. But one thing's for sure, I mean, if you're not rocking Horizon at this point, and still Seer is extremely strong, but I think we're starting to see how valuable Horizon can be inside of your team composition as we take a look at the format.
I mean, especially when we consider, within the way that these points are formatted, how important it is to be able to accumulate kills. It's exactly how we saw Meowdy put up their 90 points yesterday. The 12 points for first simply ain't cutting it. You need those placements, but even more than that, you need to be taking out 1 or 2 squads at the very least if you want to be competitive near the top. And it's to that I want to take a look at our teams, because while we mentioned that we had a lot of returning ones, one of the ones that's catching my eye is Zero Marksman, who out of nowhere had a really good performance yesterday. This is not a squad that a lot of people had their eyes on, but they ended up making top 5, and honestly left me wanting more as I continue to evaluate what this new entrant of talent into Series E actually means.
For sure. I mean, there was so much talent out there yesterday, and I think that there's teams like Running Late that have the perfect team name, right? Because they are running late, and it's going to be tough to catch up to people like Meowdy, because just look at the amount of points that they put up, and it's the cumulative total throughout all of these qualification processes. And we're going to be halfway done once we're done with tonight's matches, and you basically are only going to have 10 more matches. So you have 15 matches to go and prove yourself to get as many points as possible. Now, the big question, Dia, what do you think the overall total is for the #1 team? Because we saw around 80 points yesterday. Do you think someone's going to be right around that maybe like 200-point mark? You have to kind of set a bar of what you're going to be looking for based on what you've seen so far, because the pace has been set very high.
Yeah, if it's Meowdy, we honestly could be breaking 200 today, based on what we saw. However, it's also worth considering that point total could be brought down pretty significantly by other teams having the chance to adapt and maybe having good days themselves. One of the squads that I'm going to be keeping my eye on, as I did all of yesterday, is Slepton, who you can find near the bottom, bottom right of your screen. Slepton had an incredible day on Monday in the ALGS preseason qualifiers, but it looks like our Series E preseason qualifiers were just that little bit harder, so I want to see if they can get back on their feet and take down these lobbies, as I know that they absolutely have the skill to do. It's just they're running up against so many other squads that are primed to fight.
There's so much fighting that's taking place, and that is something that you brought up yesterday before the show started, is that if you're not going to be confident in your team fights, you're not going to really stand a chance. And we saw certain teams that we weren't expecting fall a little bit short. The 50-50s were there. Now we get a chance to look at the team compositions. We saw Gibby was very useful in certain scenarios, so don't count Gibby out. And you know what's funny is all of a sudden you hear the wrecking ball gets rid of the Gibby bubble, but if you actually stand and put your arm shield up in front of your Gibby bubble, it doesn't knock your bubble down. You just end up, it just bounces off you like a giant meatball. So Gibby is still strong. Gibby's very, useful in certain scenarios. It's just, other people find maybe Seer a little bit more popular. But if you're looking for a little bit of a defensive stand, if you're very comfortable on Gibby, he's still a very strong legend. And I'm a firm believer if you have a controller player on your team, when you get that ADS going in, what do controllers specialize in? They specialize in ADS fights, especially up close. So if you get into, a trade battle with a controller player with a Gibby, I feel like it's almost impossible to lose that one, especially if you have something like the Scout. So it's going to be exciting to see what these players bring to the table, what compositions everybody's going to be running. And here we are, game number 1 of day 2 of the qualifiers for season 6 on board with our winners from yesterday, Meowdy, going on over towards Lava City and Big Mod. Now, we saw yesterday, Dia, how nice it was to look at the loot that these guys had when they were walking out. Plus, they were very rarely contested over here, if anything. So the amount of loot that they're going to get is absolutely insane.
It's happening again as well. Cody's able to split off from the rest of the squad, making his way over to Lava City. Imagine getting an entire POI of loot all to yourself, all to one person. That's how Cody's starting off this game. Prob Garrett and Awesome Tryhard are going to be able to pick up the big mod weaponry as well, with a ring scan spawning right here, and with so many crafting mats and a replicator available, Meowdy are not going to have a difficult time transitioning into the mid game, and it's up to other teams to start contesting them, maybe by picking up some early KP, as Revival is already trying to do. Running Late have traded in a 1-4-1, with Lightstar Joe whipping out the car at short range. He's only a few damage away from finding a second knock. Profit is down, and now Running Late have a big advantage.
Big fan of Lightstar Joe. Have an opportunity to play with this guy last split a decent amount. Great attitude, great player overall. You can see his Seer was extremely useful in these scenarios, coming through with the Volt, getting some kills. The armor swap coming in as Hero's going to drop that one. Tommy coming in with the flag, but it's virtually a 3-on-1 at this point. He doesn't have his grab lift, so he can't get back up on the top. Nice shots, but it doesn't matter. Running Late is going to end up dropping Revival. And phase 1 again, they're still taking 50-50s, Dia. It looks like they haven't learned, or they're just getting fairly unlucky.
Could be a mix of both, honestly, but as Zero Marksmen continue in their fight, we'll see who ends up being the unluckiest of them all. We're still with 18 squads remaining. That means that if you go down now, you aren't getting any placement points. Zero Marksmen, with their trade, will make sure they at least get a single kill point, but Stickdrift OP are pushing up on this, and Stickdrift OP are not a team that I would want to fight. They have been participating in Tier 2 Apex Legends for as long as I can remember, and they are certainly a team that has each other's backs, that knows when to push and how to push together, has that inbuilt synergy that we talked about yesterday.
Curious to see where the zone's going to be, too, throughout all of this. I mean, we saw the scan that happened for Meowdy, and it's going to be Lava Siphon, so not that far from Lava City. Dome's going to be completely open again, and you could start to see the rotation coming in from Scissors. I'm excited to watch Scissors play Loba.
I am too. He is has been a player to watch for a really long time. Previously had a stint on Esports Arena, and now working on developing a little bit of a different identity, playing alongside Vize and Wave, two very talented players in their own right, and moving towards a play for the zone, wanting to sit towards Lava Siphon, where I think you can make a really good balance of playing for both KP and placement simultaneously. The buildings around Lava Siphon really do allow you to participate in fights a lot more than other POIs do, and with Scissors already having a gold shield, it is no wonder that they are so confident being able to walk up to these buildings. You yourself noticed that a lot of the southern side of World's Edge was also unoccupied right now, so who, with their positioning at this moment, have put themselves in a great position to take out teams that we know are going to be disproportionately coming from the north side of the map.
It's the ever popular decision of, do you sit inside the middle of the zone and wait and try to play placement, or do you play a little bit of aggressive play, almost like a TSM style of play? That's why I love watching TSM play, because they understand the lobbies and they understand how aggressive they need to play, they go into spots where they're expecting to pick up kill points, and they rotate back and over towards the zone. And you made a great point yesterday that if you get a squad wipe, that's the equivalent of getting 6th place overall. So imagine if you're just taking a couple of team fights, winning those. Again, it's the risk versus reward type of play. You sacrifice positioning, you sacrifice the risk of getting third-partied. But at the same time, unless you are a team that constantly takes fights and goes through all these situations, you're not going to be a good team in general. And that's just facts. And that's why, you have players that are a little bit of lower elo, right? You maybe are sitting like silver or lower or something along those lines. You're like, all right, I'm just going to camp inside this building. You can't do that in Apex. You have to play aggressive. You have to play fights very fast. And watch how Meowdy goes about their business. It's going to be a Seer ultimate immediately. Awesome Tryhard takes some damage, but he's creating a little bit of a distraction on the outside. It's a double Seer ultimate right now, so they have to be careful how they advance. And typically, how you advance here is you get close, and then you bubble towards the entrances, or you do some sort of gravel play. He has 1 Arc Star, he has 4 batteries. Awesome Tryhard is definitely the entry fragger here for Meowdy.
Meowdy are doing a really good job as well of making sure that they can cover their flanker. With Cody off to the side, he absorbed a lot of pressure, forcing this team to play back inside the building, and defensive bombardment allows Meowdy just the right amount of cover to be able to walk all the way up, close this distance, and start hunting their prey inside. Unfortunately for them, they're too scary. Meowdy have pushed this team all the way back in the building, and Cody's gone a little far forward. Still alive, but just barely, as Awesome Tryhard comes up to cover him, and the zone starts to close in. Time is ticking on this fight, and with Prob, Garrett, and Cody both missing their shields, it's time for Awesome Tryhard to step up like they did yesterday. Grab lift right back up to the roof, a broken shield in their favor, and as they hit the ground running, there still aren't any drops in their favor. It's nothing to nothing right now as Meowdy struggle to get their first kills of the game, and with the PK shots from Prob Garrett, very quickly turn things around. Icy are gone, and Meowdy have started their rampage.
What a fun fight to watch right there. I mean, there was so much back and forth. You saw every player go and try to entry frag for Meowdy. It was originally Awesome Tryhard. He comes through. The defensive bombardment from Garrett was on point. It forced the players onto the other building, but Cody overextended and got very weak, and that's what forced the pressure to go forward. And then all of a sudden, Awesome Tryhard comes in with the grab lift, throws the ultimate down, gets a handful of damage while everybody else heals. The bubble was used very well by Garrett, and it's all about that follow-up right there. Really smart play from Meowdy, and that's what's so key is it doesn't just come to one player going in and try to entry frag right there. Every single player played aggressive when they needed to, and they all recovered and got each other's backs. Looks like there could be somebody in the vicinity. I think that could have been just Cody or somebody else in the area. I think maybe Awesome Tryhard threw a grav lift or something like that, and they got a little bit concerned. But it looks like they're just going to continue to go and hit the replicator over here. And surprisingly, because nobody's landing over towards Dome, all that's going to be free. That fight lasted so long, you expect a third party, but again, you said nobody's on the southern side of this zone, so that was a free fight.
And it's kind of ridiculous when we consider how much time, how much relaxation that you get to have. The word that I'm looking for isn't quite there, but the point is that as Meowdy, they really have a lot of leisure to be able to take these fights. They're not rushed, and even when using the replicator, it's only zone 1. They have so many medkits, so many heals, and are going to have now bats as well when they move into the zone, where underdogs already are. They set up here about 3-4 minutes ago, and we saw them just camp in this building. For now, though their composition is aggressive, it is a viable play. They're in the top 15 already, have 1 placement point off the fact that they simply haven't taken a fight and boogied their way into zones. So I don't mind underdogs' strat, and I look forward to seeing them get aggressive a little bit later when the buildings next to them start to be pushed out of zone.
So these are the most popular endings, though, for Lava Siphon. I love the idea of getting on over here, and we've seen tons of games like this, Dia, where teams will try to play the yellow crane directly behind this building. Both of these are probably the 2 most popular when it comes to Lava Siphon, and really smart plays coming in with the single fire car shots to go and try to grief the team inside, whether that's the Watson gen or just laying down some extra damage. Smart plays from the underdogs. They have plenty of utility, plenty of cells, a little low on ammo for my liking, but you can still take a couple of clips and do something with that. But the flatline 2x extremely viable. Here goes Team Slept On. Karma's going to bust out the Pathfinder, interestingly enough, so making a resurgence here on World's Edge. This is the team yesterday, as we alluded to before the game started, that we had high hopes for. They got second place overall in the qualifiers. And I wonder if, maybe too soon. I wonder if they would have got first if they would have dropped someone.
Yeah, I mean, as we said during those very same quals, it came down to a 1v1 that would have gotten them 3 points, and they would have absolutely been in Pro League right now. It's up to them to keep that up, not become disheartened by their results at the start of the week, and, well, continue to push other squads and push themselves to become even better. The fact that they're running the Pathfinder doesn't bother me. I'm excited to see the off-meta moves, and it's worth noting that because these guys do actually have a coach, that there's got to be some serious strategic thinking here. There's no way it's simply just a comfort pick, right? Right?
I feel like it's 1,000% a comfort pick.
Yeah,
and,
fair enough.
And also not like this lobby has any noobs in it, but Pathfinder's the noob stomper, and it's just that type of legend. It's realistically, besides Ashe, the only legend that you could almost immediately get out of situations. Even with Ashe, you still have to line up where that ultimate's going to go. It's just about the same type of delay as Wraith's Q in the phase. But realistically, Pathfinder is the only one that can get out of dodge extremely quickly. So if you want to play hyper-aggressive entry frag or take some off angles, you're just a grapple away. And granted, he could use a little bit of help in terms of his passive, a couple other things. The grapples are very long cooldown. You're not allowed to do the fun things on the zipline like you used to be able to. Some of the stuff on the zipline's even banned, like using 2 ziplines at once. So yeah, definitely saw a lot of Pathfinder nerfs overall, but we've seen in Series E before viable picks that when you need to pick up a lot of kills, it's going to work. And, I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw some like Octanes in here, maybe some Revenants, something absolutely wild and off the top.
I really wouldn't mind that either, especially when you've got to be pushing the pace of these fights. Octane Rev does also give you a lot of forgiveness. If you do go in, discover that you're pushing, say, Meowdy, and that they're absolutely ready for you, you've already backed off. It's automatic. Redeem, however, they're taking a very different approach to this game, like a lot of other teams. Moving their way into Lava Siphon, playing things a little bit slowly because territory is so important. And it was actually in this sort of area around the center of the map that we saw Redeem do really well in a Harvester Zone just yesterday as a 2-man. When they're able to control the height, just like this in Lava Siphon, they get a lot of extra space to work with that other teams simply can't manage as well as somebody with the experience of Redeem.
And with Zone 3 closing, this is a very good spot for Z Davis to hold. They just need to stay focused on this. As you take a look at another team that's in a pretty rough spot. They're going to have to skyward dive on out of here. Going on over towards the platform seems like the right play. They're inside of a Seer ult right now, so they need to be a little bit careful, play this a little bit slow. Definitely need to keep control of this zip line to make sure nothing crazy is happening, but that's why you see the Seer coming through over here for Phobia. Very smart play. The Ryzen ult is going to be able to land, but they drop down and they give up the high ground, which is not an ideal situation. That's Slepton getting extremely aggressive and moving forward with double Seer ultimates. So Slepton's not messing around. They're playing hyper aggressive, and that's why Karma's going with this Pathfinder pick. But the fight is taking place also with Redeem, and they end up losing out on their spot that they were gatekeeping inside.
Whoa, that is not something that I would have expected to happen. We'll have to tune in with the squad that just took them out in a moment to see what they're doing with that position. But as Slepton continue to clean up, Redeem aren't the only ones to go out. Bots are down as well, and Meowdy are starting to route around the outside of Lava Siphon. Thinking about making a push here. They do have the Seer all set up with the Gibby Bubble down, taking shots from afar. Makes them reconsider this decision and actually go to play the very, very low ground that I saw 100 Thieves popularize just months ago.
Yeah, the low ground's always a really good spot. Especially when you're playing the rocks over here. But Meowdy did this very similar in the Harvester ending where they were playing on the outside. They moved in, running late, ends up going out in 13th place. This is kind of the pace we were expecting, realistically. And after game 1, it kind of continued to pick up the pace over and over again. Phobia with the shots, trying to land it, and he does get the 30-30 without a scope. Talk about 1 HP.
Yeah, on a sliver of health, and he's not the only one. His Valkyrie goes down in the meantime. Unique, not quite able to cut it in the 1v2, and you really can't blame him, as Meowdy end up picking up a kill, a full thirst, and grabbing Garrett's banner. 0 marksmen are gone as well, and in 12th place, this isn't the performance that they are replicating from yesterday. It is now one that they are going to have to pick up in Game 2, as they are relegated to the future of the preseason qualifiers, but no longer in this game.
And I'm wondering if anyone had a mobile respawn beacon on their body, because you can see them checking the bags, and I don't know if the Moby is inside of the crafter, inside of the replicator today, so that could have been an option as they were going forward. But you can see Cody is in a decent spot with the meds, still has 4 batteries, has an ult excel. They should be able to gather a lot of information, because he could get 2 ults by the time this game ends, and that's how they can decide they want to maneuver around. Cody's done a great job, especially yesterday, checking where all these heartbeat scans, and we saw him continuously use the Havoc with a handful of different secondaries, whether that's the car or it's the Wingman. Doesn't have the turbocharger on it this time, but this seems to be his gun of choice. So we'll see what he's going to be able to do with this one. And again, we saw 2 teams as duos win yesterday. There is a respawn going down over towards their southwest. I don't think they recognize that.
Might be able to make use of it. Meowdy are playing things very slow, very carefully right now, as they try desperately not to lose control of this game. Shadimus Prime, the squad that has taken Redeem's former position, now find themselves in a really nice spot, as we talked about earlier, one where they can exert a lot of control of the game, and they've made use of it. Red Evos on 2 of them, Adam and Slacken, looking really good should they choose to engage even further, and to think that they're still in the circle as well, to think that they've just spotted out a solo on their side. Adam goes for it, he's got the confidence of a man with a car 301, and with double automatics, he's going to take out Sumo.
Making easy work of Sumo right there, and the zone's continuing to pull over towards where they're at, and we're going to get a great look of where zone number 5 is going to be. This is a popular spot. Holding the high ground is completely the spot to be at, as Adam, the thermite, connects, but it doesn't really hit any of the players. It just kind of separates them in an AoE type of style. 2 knocks happening right there.
Oh!
Karma, Psycho, both down. 1 player remaining. It's going to be Bo and the slide coming through. Multiple teams in the area. 3 teams all stacked up on one another right there.
Just like that, slept on our out. We had this information, though, because of the seer ults that went down. Anyone running seer, and that includes Shadimus Prime in this situation, who threw that seer ult down in the first place, knew exactly what was going on there. 4 squads all piled on top of each other, making that push would have killed most of them, and it's a surprise to me that Shadimus Prime is even alive right now, considering how chunked out Adam got during that push. For them, they refocus, however, and they still take height, albeit a little bit lower, as they think about making their next rotation. This little bit of the building off to the north will still be in zone, and they who own that will have a lot of safety as we approach zone 5.
I would love to take a look at the map, because this fight, if we have about 10 seconds to take a look at that, we're going to be able to determine which teams are going to be coming out of the tunnel on over towards the side and who else remains, because this fight is going to take place here very shortly. But looks like Vera and the team over towards the northern side, they're going to have to deal with a decent amount over towards their east side, right? But they are in the zone and they're in prime position. The question is are they getting there too early, as the whole southern side's about to get lit up?
I really like what Who can do from here as well. We saw them rotate early on into Lava Siphon. They've got this RV uncontested, but they're going to have to contend with Stick Drift OP, who are valking in now from the north side directly into the center of the map. Where will they go? I don't think there's a safe place to land, and it's going to have to be a gamble for this duo who have no shields to land somewhere to get themselves an advantage. Still eating shots from behind. Sushi is barely alive, and Flinzar is going to be caught by the zone soon. No time to bat. Instead, playing the fence line on the inside. Miracle that Stick Drift OP are still alive, but Who are coming in as well. They've got to be careful.
Great rotation coming through here. Basically genius to get on over towards this wall. They should be in. There should be a little sliver right behind this area, and there is. And I feel like when they look at the circles in Apex, all this is done on purpose. Great wingman shots as well from Flinzar. But I don't think they're going to be able to win this 2v3. I mean, the Thermite is landing, but it's just so tough when you're dealing with a Gibby in that instance. Great bubble from Vize. and they're going to be able to continue to loot up over here. But look at the power of the bubble. Without that bubble, they would not be able to charge. The stick comes in as well onto Zarkly. Fortunate for them, it's not the Arc Star of old, so they're just going to be able to heal right back up without virtually being taken down just by one grenade. Southpaw is going to get dropped as well, fully torqued with a great position over here towards the high ground.
They've refocused from trying to take down Who earlier and now are looking down, but it's given Who the chance to reset. Yes, they're still under pressure, but already inside the now top 5 as underdogs are out. They've also got 5 kills to their name and are looking good as now they can take height, they can gatekeep, they can essentially eliminate one other squad by sitting right here and still have a really strong side of the ring. They'll have to play careful, but Who still have maintained a power position by avoiding the attention of everyone else.
This is always one of the spots to come out, and 100 Thieves loves coming out from this angle. Liquid loves coming out from this angle. Taking control of the train tracks in this platform is so crucial. You can see how easy it is to kind of pick these players apart. Looking for the shots through the steps right there. Scissors lining it up, but he's going to take some damage on over towards the side. They have this interception pylon from an enemy team too, so that's going to be very useful for them. But this is the fight they need to focus on. I mean, the teams down below, that's the team that's going to be in a great spot compared to the teams down low. But right now, Who needs to worry about being pinched? And this is going to be a very interesting situation. Again, with that interception pylon, that's buying them some serious time. There goes the head glitch. There goes the bubble as well. Vizay's bubbles have been extremely well placed. Scissors may even look to throw some armor swaps in here.
I like that they trade off the shield bats, knowing that loot is going to be everything. That ability to fast heal as Jita come around the side. They've got an excellent angle, especially on who as you mentioned earlier, are pinched, and an great Newcastle wall as well. Puts them in a position to dominate this lobby. They've essentially got an RV of their own, but the bullets are flying in, and God knows how long this wall will last. Your free XP goes down, and the team on the low ground cannot be long for the world. Fully torqued are eliminated, and it's a 3v3 between Hida and Who. Already one down. Scissors needing desperately to bat, and Wave taking just a second to reset, helped by that bubble. The ever-present power of that bubble that has saved Who again and again as they wipe the floor with the lobby and take game 1.
The power of Gibby. I mean, when you have someone as talented as Scissors on Loba in your team, and then you have this placement from Vizzy, everything coming together. Wave with an aggressive play on top of the Valkyrie there. Unfortunately, while the Newcastle wall was well placed, it wasn't far enough. They needed to put it just a little bit farther, a little bit closer to that truck. And once the aggression comes, once the first knock comes in, that's what that Gibby bubble is so useful for. You advance with that, you cut off the angles, and making easy pickings of that final fight. You can see they are here to play. All 3 extremely talented players, and I'm excited to see what Scissors does on this squad.
And it's that competitive experience that we actually brought up with Meowdy yesterday as well. Well, Who may not be the, I want to say, ranked grind terrors that I imagine, or that I have seen Meowdy to be. What they are is extremely confident when it comes to how to play out end games together. That's where they were on the same page, and it was a pleasure to watch their development into this game. As we talked about, they prioritized Lava Siphon really early and were one of the few teams not punished for opting into a quick rotation to zone.
And when we look at the overall points from yesterday, I'm going to call out from the top 5. You have Meowdy with 92 points. Who was in second with 50? Redeem right behind them with 49. Buff Aim Assist with 47. Then Zero Marksman at 38. And then the list gets fairly close when it comes to that area. That was your top 5 from yesterday. So still pretty consistent. And again, we're still waiting for Team Slept On to kind of get it going over here. They were 17th yesterday. This is the team that was second in the qualifiers 2 days ago. We're expecting big things out of them, but we're seeing Who come through, ready to play. It's a different day, it's a different style, different zones. And again, Gibby on both of these teams have been very useful.
And I'm glad that they had a good time. We will be on World's Edge for all of our games today, so keep your eyes out for the variety of rings that we'll get and how these teams like to play them. For a little bit more insight on that first game, however, we're going to toss this one over to Yeso.
To quickly address that kind of last point that T-Squared made, slept on, seemingly still asleep so far in these qualifiers, because they are a team that I myself as well had high expectations for coming into the qualifiers, especially with their performance to finish off those Pro League quals this past weekend, as well as they're a team that performed really well in like the rewired qualifiers as well. Like they're going to Arkansas for that event next week. So this is a team that has been looking really good as of late, but they've struggled so far, at least last night and so far here tonight. But it's only one game in, still plenty to play, still 14 games standing between us and figuring out who's going to qualify for next season, so there's opportunity there as well. But let's talk about who they are, our winners here in game number 1, and of course Scissors, a very familiar face to us here at Esports Arena. They finished with 5 kills that game, led by Vize. Vize with having a wonderful performance, full 100% kill participation for the team, with those 5 kills and 5 assists and over 2,700 damage in that first game. Very good showing from Vize to start things off, and who got to be feeling really nice with that game number 1 here today, looking to build off of what was a solid performance yesterday and a strong finish to the day. So let's jump though into our Mobile One high performance moment here for our first game of the day, and it's right to the late game. It's who Wave with that gold armor, stalling just a little bit, gets off that cell to get a little health back, and then they just play well around the bubble. The gold knock shield res does make things a little nicer for the other side, but who do a good job of cleaning up, playing well around this bubble, and they've just got good resources here. Even Scissors with his armor broken, able to get into that fight with the focus on both of his teammates, and Vize doing some great work here in the end. So well played from who, and just a good job of dealing with that Newcastle, going for that cheeky little res here. They get the good damage out that they need and win this fight very handily to clean up those last 3 KP and take the dub here in game number 1. So well played there from who, and we'll have high expectations for them the rest of today. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, T Squared and Dia will check in with our Mobile One leaderboard and get you ready for game 2.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
I be loading up, they wanna package this. Pay for peace, pacifist, I'm never old enough to give a fuck with this.
One game in the books, and with who having a much better performance than they did yesterday already. I'm excited to see how much further they can climb. Before we get there, though, let's take a look at how far they got just that game. The Mobile One leaderboards that hold all of the most valuable information, most notably the 22 points for who.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the math. They had a 42-point differential between them and Meowdy for first place, so they chunked into that just a little bit. They still have around 30 points to go and make up, but that's a great start, right? Coming through and saying, all right, we were second place yesterday, but we're going to start game one off with a bang. That's the pressure you need to add into Meowdy, and we're going to start to see what Meowdy's made of now, because they played out of their mind yesterday. But to be fair, Dia, the way they took that first team fight, even though they won it in Lava City, you're expecting that team, Team Icy, haven't really heard of them that much, and they're here for a reason. They're a solid squad, but when you looked at them fighting, you're like, oh, are they fighting against who? They're cleaning up team fights yesterday a lot quicker than they were right there. Granted, it was a bad angle to go from, the way Icy played that was virtually perfect. Once the defensive bombardment came down into the smaller building, they all skedaddled instead of going inside of that particular building, which is what they wanted them to do. On the Meowdy side, they went to the high ground building, and whenever you have to go and push up that hill and going over towards the high ground, it makes that fight that much more difficult. So, granted, they did win that fight. I just think that they were mopping teams yesterday. They were coming through and playing really solid. They lost a player fairly early, but now the pressure's on them once they see that who's performing.
Of all the squads that landed themselves in the top 5 yesterday, who are the only ones that have pushed themselves there after just a single game? It's up to them to maintain it, but a lot of the other squads, you've got to imagine, are quite upset about it, and I wouldn't be surprised that along with Forgot to Warm Up, one of our teams participating today, other teams also start to pick up more momentum as the day goes on, and as you get more experience and more comfortable in the lobby, which is unlike a lot of the other ways that you can warm up. Most teams weren't doing scrims right before they popped into Series E. They probably warmed up with ranked, and then they tried to go for the qualifiers. And the thing is that, especially in the final lobby, the game style is so different, and who, for their part, were able to clean up off that, and with their landing spot in Landslide uncontested, I'm sure it's helping.
Yeah, Landslide, a very viable spot to go and land. We've seen teams like ESA land down over here. We've seen Tripods land over here, and they've moved now on over towards Skyhook. So this is a quick spot to go and just get your loot and get on out of there. And especially with Loba, Loba's able to cover this entire POI by herself. We know how fast that Loba ultimate comes up, so if you're missing anything, you also make your way on over towards that Volt side too, if you wanted to end up going and trying to get that Volt key, or using Loba to make your way in there as well. As we see the fight happening on the Overlook side, looks like Stick Drift OP. Jeez, I got it now. And Zero Marksman going at it.
There are persipacity of yesterday, and for right now, Zero Marksman, they've got the better end of this deal. A lot of ways pushed a little too far forward, where the door was just a little bit too powerful. I will say, doors are quite strong in this game, and Zero Marksman took full advantage of that already. On the move with a very nice quick flick on the PK for a lot of damage. Sushi HD goes down, and that should be the wipe for Zero Marksman, since there's not a whole lot of space to run in Overlook.
And Stick Drift OP out. Fortunately, I don't have to call their name anymore, because apparently I can't call it out. But Dome is completely open, and that's where the zone is going to continue to pull towards. These zones are always really exciting, because you get a lot of teams setting up in the very back of Dome. You get that respawn, that beacon in the backhand side that you can continually just get the scans for where the zone is going to go towards. But ideally, it's going to hang on over towards Dome and Lava City. That's a little bit more of the popular spots of where these are going to end. There's a blue trailer right out there that's extremely viable, especially if you're playing Watson.
It makes me curious as to how we'll see Meowdy handle something like this. They don't have a whole lot of rotation paths out that don't take them directly into a choke point that a lot of other teams will be coming through, and as much as I like Meowdy's fighting, things have been difficult for them when it comes to engaging multiple squads at the same time. Zero Marksman, however, evidently no problem, since they've turned around from their fight in Overlook and instantly wiped the Ruse, who came in for a third party of their own.
Love watching Zero Marksman play, and Papa Midget is one of those players that you were talking about yesterday, and this was the pleasant surprise. Overall, 5th place, 38 points. Yeah, that's solid, and you can see why. They are no joke. They know what they're doing. They're confident in taking their fights, and they're able to take the first 2 fights cleanly.
Already 6th place today, and as they continue to accrue points, I mean, I'm hoping they can replicate that success. This is very much a team that I'm already looking out for in the Tier 2 scene as we approach this sort of Year 3 of ALGS Season 6 of Series E. Hida, after picking up a 2nd place, not looking too bad either. Quite a few kills under their belt, are getting aggressive in Geyser, but they're going to be really close to Meowdy if they choose to rotate up. We had this question earlier, and Hida simply aren't asking themselves the same thing as they knock down that door, do get temporarily stuck by an Arc Star, but ultimately are still going to take down Pablo in short order with one of their own falling as well. It's a fight up against Phase 1, and Rowdy Life with the Mozambique is laying down the law, finds a knock, and could turn this whole thing around.
They also have the scan on where this player is going to be located. Great job and use of the battery, plus the CRQ coming through, stopping the res, getting info on where the shields are going to be as well. Great play coming through from Rowdy Life, but they need to secure this kill. They need to focus on the Newcastle inside, and it looks like they were able to get the res off too, so the use of the knockdown shield is coming in, and now Jita's going to continue to push forward. I love that res coming in from Alexander. Now making it a 2v1, plus the chopper going wild. Not electing to go for the wingman, just going to continue. And Bokiyu with the missile swarm. Just everybody doing the right plays right now for Jita.
Should be relatively simple for them to play around this knockdown shield, though the R99 doesn't connect momentarily. Hida are making me sweat. They haven't even cracked the shield on the other side yet. I'm trying to chase him down. They do end up finding a full thirst. A little bit of damage. The crack, actually, but Bokyu's down again! And we are still seeing this reverse time and time again. Rowdy Life is going crazy right now, but he does get the interrupt on the res, forced to push out, and there he goes! Hida finally pick up the team fight win.
Just a perfect play right there. You can't really ask for anything better from Alexander. He did everything that he needed to, goes for the armor swap, hits the res. You know it's a bait res, but you have to charge, because if he just continues to hit the res, he's going to get that player up. And sometimes it's better just to let that res happen, knock the player again, and then start to push forward, because the timing was just so perfect there from Alexander. He knew exactly what he had to do. I also like the push and challenging in that 2 versus 1, because you understand the situation. You have a Newcastle on your team. You could play hyper-aggressive when you have that in your back pocket. So overall, great execution. Now we hop on board over towards the back of Dome. And this is what we were talking about, Dia. You have so many opportunities to coexist inside these buildings. Big nade coming in from Rex. That should do a ton of damage.
Oh,
and it never even exploded. Where'd it go?
I have no idea. I think Rex is just as confused as we are, who are still low inside this building, but not as low as we thought they'd be. And Shadamus Prime, they're starting to push in after a really good game last time. Will who end up falling here? Wave's already down. Vize joins him, and the third party may just be claiming our champions from last game. Shadamus Prime rack up those kills, pushing themselves to 11 on the day.
Oh my.
And Southpaw with a sick shot on the wingman through the window.
This guy's nuts. Are you kidding me? Southpaw with the wingman of the century. He doesn't even need any help. This guy's just going in and just charging forward. He's got Adam in the back pocket on the Valkyrie, but Southpaw just went absolutely nutty. Wingman PK, what is this, Season 0, running late now, coming to the fight and trying to third party this one. You could see everybody trying to get on over towards the Dome side. It's shocking to see these teams fight, but At a certain point, you have to take these fights because you don't want to be on the outside of Dome. You want to get inside of these buildings, and a lot of times you end up coexisting with multiple teams inside the buildings, on the outside as well, and you end up with this little game of cat and mouse with the doors. And that's why Valkyrie still is extremely viable, because when you need to break down these doors and you want to save your nades, that Missile Swarm is going to put in a lot of work.
It certainly is. Being able to cover a large area, apply that slow, will really help you out. I'm worried right now, though, for Buff Amos's, who I believe, are going to get interrupted. Something else that we saw in our play moments ago was a really smooth interrupt from the Seer, and that interrupt is going to be enough for bots to claim a kill. I was wondering who took out one of our favorite squads last time. It was bots that ended up pushing up and taking out Redeem, and now that they've got this extra kill, Stomps may just be able to pick up even more. Another player that you'll definitely know if you've been watching not just Challenger Circuit, but even Pro League. Bots are stacked with talent right now, but they're only down to one member.
So many people on the ground right now. It looks like a daycare out here. Everyone's just crawling around. It's just like, what is going on? Now you can see Buff Aim Assist is getting the res on over towards the doors. There's the res on the opposite side, so now it's a straight up 2-on-2. And great job by Stomps just to kind of gather himself, re-heal, and a nice job of even trading out on the backhand side. Machin gets taken down. The res came through. He was buying some time to get Key back up, but now everyone's fairly weak, and there is the push from the rest of the players. It's only a matter of time before they shut him down, and the bots taking down Buff Aim Assist. Two really great teams right there duking it out. Very close fight. Everybody just playing that game around the reses. That's how you go and do that right there. And a smart play to crawl down towards the very bottom side so they didn't have the call out on where they were. So bots able to get the respawn right here onto JQ. Plenty of loot to go around, plus the zone isn't that far. Revival Games GG also being taken out in the kill feed is Cody with the Havoc again, Dia. He has the Havoc. Look out.
Oh, of course he does. Of course he does. The crafting rotation for this guy is just too strong this season. Bots are going to have to worry about that a little bit later on. But as Cody starts getting going, I gotta wonder, is this the game where Meowdy have warmed up? It's the question that we're going to be asking ourselves all day. And it's an interesting question that we have answered now as to how they're going to actually play out a ring like this. And they are, evidently, comfortable playing zone. If they started in Lava Siphon, they're going to be finishing in Lava Siphon until the ring pulls them out.
Yeah, they're going to be in a pretty good spot over here, but you also have the team that just came from the Geyser side, and they're taking that low ground. So we've already seen Meowdy take a fight over towards Lava City, and now they're preparing to potentially fight again. You saw on that mini-map there was a team on the opposite side over here, so it's a matter of, do they want to take this fight? Will they expect a third party to come? Understanding that they do have the Crafter at their disposal if they want to go and use that one. And it's going to be Gita just chilling with the Charge Rifle Spitfire Toxic.
And it's right after they've come down from melting phase 1 up in Geyser. I wouldn't be surprised if a Valcult helped them out. Over here in Lava City, they want access to this Crafter, but they can't quite get it. And even now, with the Charge Rifle, got a bit out-traded for a second. Alexander using that mobile shield for a little bit of extra cover. Hira may just be buying some time, though, since they've got to focus more on the rings ahead of them.
Back.
Perspicacity, I got it this time. Has McLovin lasering him down. Give us that sweet angle, the shot of the Seer hand. That's what I really want. They're looking for a few extra kills, but they're gonna settle for what they already had, the knocks previously, and they should start moving into zone sooner rather than later.
Paps has to love this loot here for Horizon. The R301 is completely stacked. PK in the back pocket. The 2-4 is such a great scope on that weapon. Unless you kind of struggle realizing which scope you're in. You're like, oh wait, I'm in 4? Whoops, meant to be in 2 the entire time. Overall though, it puts in some serious work, and you could see the tracking from Paps was on point. Underdogs now on the run, and surprisingly, they're able to get away with their life for now. It doesn't look like anyone's in the player outlines, but playing this out as a solo without any health meds is going to be very difficult.
And the spot that he's rotating up through in towards launch site should be patrolled. Vera, though we're at 12 squads right now, should be going down in that 12th position if anybody's actually got positioning on this building. It's a worrying thing to be walking through here, especially going at full tilt as he slows for just a moment. Seeing if there's any danger to be had. Shadows Prime have encountered some of their own down at the very southern tip of the map, down by Dome, but they're sitting relatively
What a nice
comfortably
guy.
as well.
He gave up his last 2 cells. Yeah, I don't think I'd do that for you, honestly. I mean, he's got 4 batteries. We'll let it slide. But one of the surprising things is Southpaw has been doing all of this work with the Wingman without an extended sniper mag. It's been really impressive to watch how these shots connect.
Already laying in the damage and honestly keeping everybody else at bay. Look at the amount of space that they've been given in Dome. For a team to get this, they don't just have to walk into position, they really do have to earn it, as Dome especially is a place where a lot of people do enjoy fighting and getting really aggressive. Running late, one of the squads that are expected to be taking that to the next level today. We've lost out on underdogs though, and since we're at 10 squads, running late may start to get that confidence very soon, and maybe take a few fights, especially as they're forced to exit Dome. Meowdy go low in their own fight over by Lava City, no doubt up against Hida, as Prob Garrett takes a bat and pops up to the top floor. He's going to start laying the Peacekeeper shops. Goes down, but he's done his work. Slept on are the team that they're fighting up against. And this is a 3v3 I'm invested in. Psycho is going to go, in fact, crazy, but not crazy enough as he jumps down this stairwell and still gets taken down by Meowdy.
Meowdy taking that team fight to him. Great defensive environment, forcing everybody inside of the top of the stairwell. Great peak shots coming in from everybody. Here comes the third party, but the resets have come through. The armor swaps are there, and they're just not in time to go and force this one. I mean, unless McLovin does something absolutely crazy, Dalton's going to get insane. There goes the ult. I love that play to go over towards the roof from both players. Pap sends it. You see the arc star coming through. The plays are looking clean. What a play from Dalton using the jetpack to get on over towards the roof, and Meowdy getting eliminated. I thought that they were going to be a little bit slow to that third party, but to be honest, I think once they got the armor swaps, someone didn't fully heal their armor, probably because they didn't want a blue armor in some sort of instance. Sometimes you just got to take that blue armor and re-heal up your health meds and then reset. Either way, great job going in for that third party.
Even if it was a third party, just taking a look at that fight objectively, if you tell me yesterday that Perspicacity are going to be able to walk into Lava City and wipe Meowdy in under 30 seconds, I simply don't believe you. And watching them do that today says volumes about what they've taken away from yesterday's games, from the experience that they've gained in the open qualifiers. Well, they've still got to look forward. Well, there is still 7 squads ahead of them before their victory. Perspicacity are going to be a team to look out for, especially if they keep layering in plays like that. Bots, definitely another squad to keep an eye on, especially since they've got this power position outside of Dome.
Yeah, Perspicacity was 13th yesterday with 20 points overall. So, a decent amount of points for 5 games. Keep in mind, it's only 5 games. That's why 92 from Meowdy is that much more impressive. But when you say less than 30 seconds, I mean, that fight was almost 10 seconds long. It was 10 to 15 seconds long. So that is just as clean as it gets. The double push onto the roof, and they got a little bit separated for a second. But once that Seer ultimate came through, that reminds me of what Meowdy does so well. Again, it's an order of operations of how you need to use your utility to continue to advance. And sometimes you don't even have time to talk about that. The push is coming through, and they're getting even more aggressive. McLovin with the car coming through. Forgot to warm up. Going down, and they are looking solid right now. 7th place, 13 points inside of the blue trailer. This is the blue trailer that I was talking about earlier, Dia.
Perspicacity are so crazy right now, and since they've got this position that you talked about earlier, I mean, you said it yourself, blue trailer is a god spot when it comes to this end game, and they've just got to hope that the zone continues to pull towards them and not further to the south. This is an entirely different team than we saw yesterday, though, and I have no doubt that they can keep this going, especially when they've shown us 2 back-to-back plays like that. Bots, on the other hand, setting up still outside of Dome, have got to worry about the ring themselves, and maybe just contesting that blue trailer, especially if Stumps gets caught out. He's on the Seer, and a single bad angle for Seer can mean the end of his life.
JQ with the R301 3X over here. Perfect range for the 3X too. That kind of medium range. Not really that close. Z Davis getting eliminated in 7th place, but look at the spray from JQ. Just continuing to use this head glitch on over towards the rock and the eggshell. The nade pushing him over towards the right side, and that's the Seer Q coming in from Stomp. Stomps doesn't even want to heal. They're just going to full send. The Seer ultimate coming through. Horizon taken to the flight, but great job of tap strafing in the air and surviving as long as possible. Surprisingly, they don't find the Horizon knock, and they're going to have to reset over here, and they have to move in 45 seconds.
There's just a few too many angles for Perspicacity. I don't feel comfortable pushing this as bots, but their call seems to be different. Their angle is to take this fight, knowing that they're isolated and Paps is down. Taking 2 engagements in a war on 2 fronts never has gone well. Bots get the opportunity to push up, but they lose JQ in the process.
Oh my.
They lose another. There is no way Perspicacity are turning this around right now. McLovin's got the angles, especially with that Seer passive, and he's found so much damage in the air that with Dalt having the shield swap, they could take this fight.
Yeah, they need to double team this player immediately, and bots going down. There goes the push from Lightstar Joe with the Arcstar. Dalton's going to need that knockdown shield, but it's multiple collapses from different angles. And with the zone closing in, you just don't think they're going to be able to survive. Huge Arcstar on over towards the door. The armor swept there for Poised. But they need to start moving. This is not looking good. He's going to try to grab 1 med kit along the way, maybe some extra cells, but the damage has already been done. It took a little too long to go and clear that player out, and now the push inside of the lava. I mean, you're running directly into multiple teams over here. It's not going to end well.
Oh, we've all been there. We have all been there where you have to take the suboptimal play. You have to bet that people like Ava aren't in the game to call you on it. But Ava was there, and Poi is down. Not much to do now is running late. They've got complete control over this building they claimed extraordinarily early. Like Sarjo is going to take a few ticks in the zone, but is plenty healthy even in a zone that does as much damage as this to be able to keep going. With running late having the position that they do, with only one person, I believe, on their roof. They will have to push into the open, but it's absolutely doable, especially with the aggressive comp that we said they had earlier.
Yeah, and unfortunate for them, the kills happened outside of the zone, so they're not able to go back on over towards that loot. But Southpaw is continuing to heat up with the wingman, dropping Alexander from Gita. So now you're in a 3-on-3-on-2 situation. You can see the duo on over towards the side. Chatamus Prime has been looking solid towards the back of Dome. I mean, when you anticipate setting up here as long as they have, you don't think that they would get that many kills, but they've been fantastic in the way that they've been able to execute, and Southpaw really making a name for himself as one of the better wingman players that we have here.
It's just, it has been playing incredibly smoothly today, and since they've got what was a really nice roof position, the fact that they've given it up says a lot. Chatamus Prime have had their pick of the litter. They've already been doing really well. 7 kills to their name, right behind where Perspicacity were when they eventually went out, and now they're in the top 3. As this round starts to close, Southpaw is going to be able to be the one to determine the pace of the rest of these engagements, and they are looking straight at running late. A dam hoping for the single fry that would open up this engagement.
It's going to be a Horizon push on over towards the side, and great execution. They're even getting help from Blake on the backhand side from Team Gita. But Chatamus Prime with a fantastic Seer ultimate right there. You're just going to get so much knowledge, and now it is on. You're just going to have to deal with a couple of solos and some duos. Look how weak everybody is as well. Chatamus Prime now taking game number 2. Wow. Southpaw, impressive play all the way through. Adam with the angle on top of the stairs. Execution on fleek out here for these guys.
It was so textbook. I mean, you've talked about the order of operations that we've seen Meowdy take in the mid-game with their fights, and we got to see this a little bit yesterday, but as you've identified so frequently in these late games, it's most important that you make yourself not the target of that final push, and Chatamus Prime really did that by playing to their namesake. They played like Shads. They just walked up to the door and said, we're going to push you. Want to bet? And forced running late to have to take this play for second. That I will say also fortunately worked out. Running late did eventually end up getting second place, and they didn't get all the kills on Hida. Though they lost Ava before she hit the ground, it's still a worthwhile play for them as they essentially got 2 points out of just committing to a fight instead of waiting for Chatamus to bring it to them.
Giga Chatamus Primes for sure. They were going absolutely nutty that game, and you could see Southpaw was heating up extremely early. The push right here. coming in with Adam, and you just had a feeling that once they started to get it going, who's going to stop them? Because they played so confident overall. Speaking of confident, Meowdy taking this fight over towards the high ground was absolutely insane. Them versus Slepdown, you really couldn't ask for two better teams going at it. And Psycho did whatever he can, doing his best Asu impersonation on the zip line. But it's a 2v1 situation right here. Everyone's fairly healthy. You could see the armors were really cracked. This is the play from Perspicacity, which I thought was just insane. It was Paps coming through with the grab lift, Dalton coming through with the jetpack. The arc star placement was clean. The prediction on the stairs was ridiculous. Everything that you need from a third party was there. And then that final moment that we just cut off of, the play to throw the Seer ultimate inside of the pills in that loop bin so that they were a little bit scared of pushing out over towards that side. But it seemed like they had all this time to make a plan, and it was only one player going up that horizon lift. If they kind of staggered or all went up at the same time, maybe they had a play to push on top of the duo, get some sort of swap. But it was just a great play overall. I mean, you saw some fantastic plays from Chadamus Prime that, again, you don't expect to see because you haven't seen these players yet play at a very high level on Series E yet, and that's, again, what Series E is all about.
And they're competing for that spot, right? To strut their stuff when we hit Season 6. As who won Game 1 and then fell early in Game 2. We'll see if Chadamus Prime can right that wrong and after picking up their win, keep up the streak as we move into Game 3 right after we hear from Yeso.
Chadamus Prime taking a dub there in Game 2, as well as with the name, Chadamus Prime. I'm a big fan of it as they take the win there. Let's take a look at our champion squad and see how they got things done here in this second game of the day. 9 kills here. Adium leading the way there with 6 of their own. Good damage across the board from everybody, so just a really solid team effort here from Chadamus Prime as they take that win. And as Dia just there aptly mentioned, with who going out early, keeps things very open here going into the third game of the day. Should mean that there's not a huge gap for those squads kind of between 5th to 15th to make up some quick ground and quickly challenge for the top of the table here tonight. So we'll have to see how things shake out on that front. Of course, we'll check in with our Mobile One leaderboard when we go back to T-Squared and Dia here momentarily. But before we do that, we have to take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment here for this second game of the day. And it is this chaotic fight over in Lava City, and it's this wonderful setup with the Arc Star there to set up for the knock. And you heard T-Squared complimenting Dalton already, the tracking on the stairs and wiping out Meowdy. And we also saw a really good highlight of the Meowdy and Slept on fight that Meowdy did such a good job in, but I'm not even going to try to say the team name. Perspicacity, okay, as production pops into my ear, thank you so much. Just with a really good push here, and Dalton just kind of checking all of the boxes. Gets the initial knock there with the car, drops down and sets up the Arc Star to get the second knock here, and then just does a wonderful job tracking here on the stairs. Decides, a little style points, I'll turn the other way and finish off the kill. But just a great job in that fight. That's a clean one that gets him some solid points here in game number 2. Do want to remind you, if you're looking to pick up products from any of our partners here at Series E and Esports Arena, you can see some of them at the bottom of your screen right now. You can head over to walmart.com/esports arena to grab everything that you need. We certainly appreciate all of your support, and so do our partnered brands. We're heading to a quick break right now. When we come back, we've got game 3 on deck.
Listen up, esports should be for everyone. That's why Esports Arena has launched our own tournament series called Player vs. Everyone, where you get to compete at multiple different titles, multiple different locations, whenever you want. Just watch this and check it out. I believe we have the best Apex Legends PvE player. Oh, I think he's supposed to break in the record. Best Apex Legends player in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Whoa, Tyler, hold up a second. We got someone out here in Salt Lake about to smash the record. What'd I tell you? Salt Lake City every time.
PvE has something for everyone. Here in Miami, we absolutely crush it at Mario Kart. And to the final part, oh, there we go. And that's gonna be the top score for the day. See if you can beat that on the leaderboard.
The day's not over yet, Luke. Here at Esports Arena Cincinnati, we have somebody who's gonna beat the Mario Kart record. So close, but the good news is you can always try again.
That's PvE in a nutshell. So find your nearest esports arena because it could be you atop the leaderboard. See you later.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
Qualifiers, where we have just finished up the second game of the day and are moving on to our third of 5. And before we do, we got to take a look at those Mobile 1 leaderboards to see where everyone landed up. Shadow's Prime taking that Giga Chad move up to the top place.
I think that the way that they were moving around screamed confidence. And again, it's not easy to pick up a lot of kills when you're sitting in the back of Dome, and they were able to execute, cleaning out team after team. I believe when we were looking at the replay, it was the 17th squad in the lobby that they took out, right? So that means that they were, taking fights early and often, and were able to fend off third parties where the zone is ending, and that's not easy to do.
Hira, however, I want to call out with their second placement inside the top 3 today. So of all of the squads that have placed in top 3, top 5, they have been the most consistent. Even who, after their win in game 1, didn't actually manage to pick up any points going into this game, and that was surprising. Running Late, however, another team to call out, also had a good performance, and despite the fact they haven't won, they have pushed themselves into top 5 with a good amount of KP that game, and certainly the right amount of placement, with a nice play for second place.
And one of the things that you pointed out, which I love, is the growth that we've seen from teams and the adjustments that we've seen from teams even overnight, right? So watching, Perspicacity go and take the team fight against Meowdy, and we're able to execute that at such a high level, goes to show you that they've realized again that they need to play hyper aggressive. And if you play passive at all, if you're scared to push third parties, listen, that Seer ultimate came down, the Q came through, they saw one player was on the high ground, they immediately full sent that. Those are those split-second decisions that you have to make immediately, and that's what's been so impressive today is, again, we have a new round of players coming through and proving themselves, and that's, again, what Series E is all about. I can't wait to see what happens in Game 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, you talked about those isolations, and so many of our squads that are able to succeed do it like that. Shadow's Prime taking down Ava in the final ring instantly. Perspicacity getting their Horizon caught on a simple flank while bots lasered them down from the sky. And as much as we talked about the importance of Horizon going into today, we've also seen Horizon's be the beginning of the end for a lot of teams. With that ability to take to the skies, you also become a target, and being able to manage when you actually make yourself a vertical signal in the air has been the difference between the teams that are succeeding and not.
Yeah, that's a great point. Also just making sure that you are all on the same page of what your team needs to do. As we take a look at Chatham's Prime, going on over towards the Lava Siphon area. First place with 30 points after their win in game number 2. They're going to be taking a look at a team potentially third-partying them as the first third party taking place in Climatizer. Should be Ruse and Phase 1. Psycho going to come through with the knock, and this is actually slept on over towards the backhand side.
Oh my god, and Ruse, honestly, moving real nasty with this 30-30 charge rifle. The hip fire on both of those looked good, but not quite good enough. Slept on still have exactly one member up to be able to contest this, but it should be a full 3-man on the bottom side, as the bubble res has already gone off. Psycho's been finished off, the shield swaps are coming through, and this game is drifting further and further out of Slept On's control. Fortunately, Karma's confirmed that it is still a 2 versus 1, but with very few shields and no bullets. Things are looking rough. Karma's got very few options, but he's going to choose to fight this one. Dropping down to the low grounds. 11 bullets left and a shield crack in his favor. Bothy hitting up the heel as Ruse have managed to get their next member into the fight. God knows what's going to happen here, but I'm hoping that it's Karma surviving and just getting out while he still can.
Even then, they're in such a poor spot because this is not what we've seen from Slept On. I mean, now you're ratting it out. They are a team that is so much more talented than this, but you brought up a great point again. No ammo to do anything with that fight. Now everyone's going to be fully healed. You want to try and get these banners, but at what point do you have to give it up? And now the hunt is on. Stankini is chasing. They understand it with the footsteps down below. They hear the shots coming through as well. Ruse is going to collapse on this in a 3v1 scenario, and I don't know if Karma's going to be able to pull this off.
Right now, already taking down Bothy is a pretty nice move. It's not nice enough, not just yet. Stanky, unfortunately, on the low ground, isn't going to have a lot of access to this fight. Instead, he's getting beamed from afar. No way is he down. No way is Slept On doing this. He's got ammunition now, and Karma ends up switching places vertically, but he's going to lose the banners very soon, and he's got to wrap this fight up. He somehow turns it around. Karma is crazy, and Ruse are out.
I jinxed it. The caster curse in reverse, though. Could it have been on purpose? I don't know. But Karma with the nasty 3v1. Unfortunately for Stankini, as soon as he fell on the ground, you just had a feeling maybe he could pull this one off. And Karma doing the exact plays that he needed to. All he needed was some ammo. Their idea, he just needed to go back, get that alternator, put that thing to work. The Volt alternator. Nasty play from Karma. Talk about a Mobile One high performance moment. Slept On. Maybe that's the momentum that they needed right there, because that is the type of plays you expect from this team.
Now, as they gathered that momentum in the form of KP, they have still lost it in the form of a player that permanently will not be able to access this game. 2 people left for this squad as the res comes in. It's going to be Karma and Boat, or as you may know them, Goat from previous seasons, pushing forward. I look forward to seeing how much they'll be able to do, but as a 2-man, in a day that Slept On have already had trouble in, that play might also just be a beacon in an otherwise very dark night. Icy, for their part, have also had a difficult time today, and while they're playing things slow, they're also surrounded, and with Example healing up, they've got to make their way out of the south end of the map and start thinking about how they'll move up towards Epicenter with the ring already closing.
This is the similar standoff that we've seen in the past from Meowdy. They seem to get stuck a little bit on the slow ground off of the rotation over here, but they've fought through it numerous times and mainly just waiting for the defensive environment to come up to you. You could see it's a sliver away from being able to come up. 82%, that's about 20-30 seconds, so they can just slow this down, force teams off the high ground, and that's the order of operations we've seen with them before. R301 EVA 8, it's the gold R301 as well. This should be able to put in some serious work.
Garrett's so crazy, actually. The amount of damage that he did versus what he received just speaks volumes to how good this player is, how often he's been playing, and specifically in ranked lobbies where damage like that really does matter. It's going to start stacking up here as well. Meowdy are making a concentrated play, and I like that they're patient enough to wait for this Seer ult. Look what else they're waiting for. A defensive bombardment to be able to clear out the team above them. Something that Prob Garrett will be able to make really good use of, available in just the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, he's going to yeet a Sky Nade coming through over here. Defensive bombardment is going to be next. Just toss that one inside of the door. That's perfect. And then you could just bubble forward inside of this train track if you wanted to. And they're going to continue to add the pressure. Cracks coming through. That's what they were looking for. Awesome try hard, and Cody going to push up onto Ghetto. There goes the grab lift as well. Garrett's trying to find where these players are located. They're a little bit split. The EVA 8, not the ideal shotgun for a Gibby, but it doesn't really matter. Just turning around and icing, icy bubble res. Again, when you look at how they use their utility, everything is well timed. Cody understands that if I toss my ultimate in time, we're still going to have enough time to get that defensive bombardment back. Awesome Tryhard still has his grab lift and his and his black hole available. Everything just coming into unison there, and that's what they're so good at. These team fights are just so clean. Again, you are playing on the low ground. It's not easy to push up on over towards the high ground. How do you do it? Exactly how they did right there. Perfect execution from Meowdy.
I'm glad that we got to see them pull it off as well, with Redeem starting to make their way up over the hill towards the previous position of Slept On. I wonder if we'll get some more clean team fighting. It hasn't been Redeem's calling card today, but certainly has in the past, and they could join the likes of Slept On and Meowdy in this third game of the day. We're just passing that halfway point. Unfortunately, Phase 1 are missing one now, with Moonshine claiming a kill on the Valk. Zero Marksman, they are looking for blood, and are certainly going to find it. R301 in hand, he gets a little bit confuzzled, a little bit lost in the sauce, and Papa Midget loses control for a moment. Moonshine's still pushing up though, and with these ordinances buying his team a lot of space, burn damage is ticking, and it's going to be a full thirst. See what they can do with this. It is still a 2v2, and Moonshine's missing a lot of HP. Comes around the side, has that Eva, is literally hitting a box in his confusion. Things are slipping out of Zero Marksman's control, and the Eva isn't enough as Rowdy Life peeks him, takes him out, thirsts his teammate, and leaves Bosky the only one alive on what I believe is a third party incoming. This has gone out of control for Zero Marksman. They're gone, and who are here to clean up the scraps?
Yeah, Scissors coming in, doing cleanup. We also saw a pretty interesting play. If you punch the death box and it doesn't have a full armor in it, if you punch it, it refills the armor, Dia. I'm not quite sure if you knew that. No, I'm just kidding. That's not how that works. But imagine you're just angry at the box not having a swap. You punch it and it just brings in all the loot that you need. Speaking of all the loot you need, there you go. Black Market Boutique coming in for Scissors. And they're going to sit back towards the tail end of Overlook. Would love to take a look at the map and find out where everyone's kind of posturing up right now and where the rotations and fights are going to take place. Looks like a couple teams posturing over towards the Overlook side, anticipating the zone coming through over there. On the northern side, you can see Team Redeem maybe about to meet up with a team as well. And we know that the rotation coming over towards the very southeast side from Lava City is going to be where Meowdy comes from. But with everybody setting up on over towards Overlook, you have a feeling that this is where the zone is going to pull. Scissors and their squad are going to get out of dodge and go and maybe take the high ground over towards the mountains, which is a very viable spot. And based on the knowledge that they have and how good this team is at setting up for zone, especially with the composition they have, I feel like that's the power play. Getting on over there is going to give you so many opportunities for kills.
It's a really solid call from them. Unfortunately, it looks like they may have lost a member on the way. Vize is out, and while height is powerful, holding it as a two-man also nearly impossible with how much other teams prioritize it. Buff Aim Assist have made their way down onto the low ground right next door to the remainder of this squad, and when Arcstar separates them, it looks like it's a lot more than that. Nice shots with the Eva, and a punch to the face takes down Wave, and in a 1-for-1 in a 2 versus 3 situation, Buff Aim Assist are, make no mistake, still coming out on top. The burn continues to hurt, and Matchin, all they've got to do is stay alive inside, who are already gone from a little bit of an assist from Redeem.
Yeah, who ends up taking the aggressive play to go on over towards the train tracks? I thought they were going to push on over towards the high ground and try to play the mountainside, but when you fully send it like that and you get shot at from multiple teams, sometimes you're in a little bit of a predicament. Speaking of predicament, Dalton trying to survive as long as possible, but it's not going to happen now. It's up to McLovin over here on the Seer. Ultimate's going to go down, so as the Q if he goes and needs it, but it looks like there's 2 teams over here. Maybe 3.
Soon to be whittled down, I'm sure. Perspicacity pushing up, eat the Arc Star, and McLovin's forced to take a step back, even though it's just the slow, not too much damage on him. Paps is healing as well, and since they've got the banner, they're going to take this moment to disengage from this cluster of teams running late, joining the party, not quite able to access that highest of the verticalities, but still playing things slow around the outside of this building and waiting for their time to shine. Seer ult's expired, and now they've got a whole lot less information to work with.
Yeah, running late coming in with this clean third party, but now we're seeing the first fuse coming in for underdogs. Exciting to go and watch. We've seen Zeratricky busted out in the past. We've seen a handful of players like Reps coming through with TSM and their new aggressive composition. Fuse, a very viable legend, especially look at this 6 Arc Stars, 2 nades, 4 thermites. Are you kidding me?
Oh my lord. You've just got to find a team trapped in a corner, and well, there you go. The underdogs unfortunately are trapped in a corner themselves, which does make me worry for where these thermites will end up going. The underdogs, for the moment, are playing things really safe, and that's not going to have to change too soon. What worries me is how on earth they're going to get out of here, as the zone is going to pull them away in the next minute, and nobody from all the Fragment really wants to be the first to move, since there's so much open space between you and Epicenter.
The Scout with the 1-2X, not the ideal scope coming through, but the skin is looking clean. I love that skin for the Scout. Most likely going to be a Skyward Dive here coming up very shortly, and I'm going to have to find a good spot to go and do that one again without Seer. That's where the pings are going down in the back of the building. Good job from underdogs, understanding the situation. Why fight through these teams when they can just go up and around them, not even taking as much damage as they were expecting either. And this is kind of the play that I was thinking that Scissors and his squad was going to be making from Team Who, and they didn't make that play. Over towards the high ground, that's a great spot to go and kind of evaluate the situation, because if you set up too early without a Watson inside, you're not going to be able to deal with all the teams that are coming through, especially with the Horizon ults, especially with Fuse coming through into play here. It's going to be a very deadly spot to hold for as long as possible. Now Gita with Alexander throwing down that Newcastle wall, forces a team up the portal and on top of the platform and Overlook.
I like that portal. It's a nice creative play to be able to check things out without risking too much. Gita are going to be a team that I have my eyes on as well, especially given their performances in the first 2 games. Top 3 both times, our most consistently placing squad of the evening, and they've got a spot that's going to age really well, at least for this next ring, and possibly the further one, giving them access to a lot of safety because, I mean, look around them. There's simply no sight lines to shoot at these guys from. You have to push, and pushing into Watson, not going to be fun. Gita get next placement, next ring, essentially for free. We've got to hope that they can convert on that later on. Running late, actually pushing somebody into Gita right now. So as they run into that tunnel, I am not too happy for Perspicacity, who were just taken out, meeting the unfortunate end of the Watson fence on the inside.
Nice job by Lightstar Joe to stay alive. Absolutely 1 HP. We've seen that happen over and over again. That's why it's crucial to fully heal throughout all of these situations. Meowdy putting in some good long-range damage. Flatline car for awesome tryhard. Double automatic weapons for when you're going up that grab lift is going to be key. Speaking of key, he's going to be able to drop Karma and Boat. So Slept On getting eliminated. Great 3v1 from Karma, but they do not get rewarded with the placement points that they were hoping for. But again, once they see that fight that takes place, I really feel like that's the momentum boost that they needed to see throughout this qualification process to get the juices flowing. As you see Awesome Tryhard with that 3x, putting in some serious work on that Overlook side. Zone is moving. Again, this is a Valkyrie-less team, so we've seen some crazy rotations from them before, especially on the backhand side of Tree, making their way down. And it started with this man right here, and a very similar play of taking to the sky.
Awesome Tryhard's got the angles, but he doesn't have that flesh damage just yet. Cody instead is the one to find it and forces a bubble in the meantime. It's difficult to push Gibraltar if you don't have a Gibraltar, but guess what? Meowdy certainly do. Defensive bombardment holding the other squad in place as well. Skynade's coming down, and with Awesome Tryhard having the second bubble, the fight is forced to come to them. Cody's down, but Meowdy still have the advantage. They take out Forgot to warm up and don't have that bubble for a res on Cody, so they have to hope they're not being shot at from afar. This is a very difficult reset for Meowdy, but it's a clean fight that they took in the meantime. Running Late are starting to push up. Hava going low, taking a moment to reset, not wanting to end up like last game. Already 3 kills for Running Late, and they're doing well. They want more placements. They want more in this lobby that they missed out on yesterday. Second bubble's in, though. That res is happening, and can Running Late get there in time? In comes the interrupt. Thank God for Light Star Joe, and Avali gets to pop in here and clean things up with the PK.
Not thank God for Seer. Please don't say that. I mean, that was great bubble play, but you know what? Countered by the Q, and hey, that's why everyone's playing Seer. You could see the power of that right there. You would have been forced into a situation that was extremely tight. Great execution all across the board. I mean, you could see the Seer was just so on top of everything, and there come the nades flying through. Buff Amos is starting to push through. Only one player remaining on this team, and that is Gita going down. Actually, excuse me, Chatham's Prime eliminated. Team in first place, dropped by Buff Aim Assist, as now we're back on board with the bots, and all hell breaking loose here on World's Edge as round number 4 closes. And see, this is where the money's made here in Apex Legends. Zone number 4, everyone could slow play things, but eventually it starts to tick away. That zone gets smaller and smaller, and things really starting to light up. Running Late now really heating up as they're cleaning up this entire lobby. 3 teams eliminated as that zone closed.
This little delay that they're running on, showing up just those 10 seconds late to every fight, has left Running Late so satisfied in the grand scheme of things. They've got all the loot from Meowdy earlier on, being able to pick up those big mod weapons, have an amazing position on the high ground. Their one worry has to be that this height, not in the next zone. There is one train cart left, and it's the train cart that has claimed so many lives so far, taking out Chatham's Prime most recently and putting an end to Southpaw's movement.
Yeah, but Buff Aim Assist was the first team here, and they're the team that's been locking it down. Remember, Team Who tried to push on over there, and there's a reason why, because this is where the zone was going to end. Everybody really knows it, but there's certain areas that you need to hold with certain legends, and this is typically a Watson area. To see it held with this type of team composition makes it even more impressive coming in for Buff Aim Assist, as we see what Redeem is up to. A little slow start to the day, but we've seen them really start to pick things up. Crows Joe, phenomenal on this horizon. That 2v8 that they had yesterday was ridiculous over towards Harvester. We'll see if they can have a little bit of a repeat performance here with 20 seconds left on zone number 5. All full man squads, so they're gonna have to play this very smart. Typically play this around Joey Blackout. We'll see where the Newcastle wall goes down. That wall isn't necessarily inside of the zone. You can see where the blue player is. That's going to be Joey Blackout. They need to advance forward just a little bit more.
Hopefully they're able to close that with Stick Drift OP right next door to them. Redeem have identified successfully that this is the team that poses the biggest threat, and a nicely placed Thermite could just stop all of that. There's already one there. We saw this play happen yesterday with a gravity lift to block the exit, but it doesn't quite go inside, and Crojo has overstayed his welcome, getting shot at from the other end. Instead, gravity lift provides a lot of ways, a way out and up, taking him out with the Newcastle shield, and Crojo is forced back, still alive, but just barely. Stick Drift OP want to push this so bad. A lot of ways has got to heal up, and they're eating missile swarms and arc stars. Everything is stagnated off of what should have been one of these teams, one of these players going down. Stick Drift OP, they hold it all in the balance, and this Newcastle wall is just enough. Running Late have committed to the low ground, though, into that cursed train cart, and they go down to Buff Aim Assist, who still hold the low ground.
And they have the zone pulling directly in front of them, so if they could just continue to lock this down, they're going to be in a great spot. There goes the res coming in from the backhand side. But talk about Uno reverse card for Team Redeemed. I mean, the Newcastle wall, the Q came through, and it stopped everything. It stopped the Thermites coming through. It also stopped the grav lift from being able to go all the way inside, which would have not even let them outside of the door. And that was the original plan coming in for Crows Joe. Unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. Big 189 coming in from Blake. Surprising that doesn't end up knocking that player, but the Kraber nerfs end up being real, and even if they did get that knock, they wouldn't have been able to finish that kill and charge all the way across the map. But say 3v3v2 situation over here, and you got to be impressed the way that Buff Aim Assist has been able to lock down this train cart.
Hida again farming up those placement points as well. They've made it to top 4. Can they push it to top 3 for the 3rd game in a row? This Kraber's going to make it all that much easier, and a 140 knock on Sushi has essentially wiped a team off the map. A nice finish to follow that up, and we'll be saying goodbye to Stick Drift OP. They're gone. We're into the top 3. Hida have done it again, and they're going to be taking out Redeem on the way in as well. Joey Blackout extremely low, and a combination of Hida and buff aim assist will do that squad in. We're into the last 2, and it is going to be a fight to the death from the high ground to the low. Can Hida actually contest what we've already gotten today? Out goes that crypto ult, chunking the shields of Hida, but they've got such a nice Newcastle set up here. Alexander holding down this high ground. It's impossible to push this Newcastle, as Machin's gonna get fried as well. Hida finally lose their Newcastle. Wow. But way more time was bought than necessary as they take out the Kings of the Low Ground.
People just aren't used to playing against Newcastle yet. It's like that wall is not indestructible. You could shoot that thing. Yes, it's going to take a little bit of your clip. You're going to maybe have to one clip it, half a clip, but you can't just allow Alexander to move up for free like that. Either way, the execution on that play was phenomenal. Buff aim assisted, everything that they needed to hold the train cart, but you know, a little bit sloppy towards the tail end. The EMP came through, and it was well timed, but you didn't really see much aggression to come after that. And again, letting Alexander just walk around the map for free, the shots with the Kraber coming in from Blake, you're starting to see again these new players rise to the occasion, and that again is what Series Z is all about. What a play, what an end game. Game number 3 was lit.
And big congratulations to Hida. I questioned whether they would make top 3 again, whether they'd be able to push themselves that far for our team that has had the most consistent placements today. They weren't just able to do that, they were able to make it to the win. And a squad that has been sitting with good placements in the top 5 all day, but not quite pushing it up to that first place finish, has now gotten there. They may very well be our first or second place squad, even though they're lacking in the kills. With Meowdy going out early as well, we lost a lot of good team fighting squads to this death trap of the low ground, and running late definitely pushing the agenda here.
And this leaderboard, much more competitive, much closer than it was yesterday. Teams really rising to the occasion over here. And that's why it was so important for Meowdy to continue yesterday, that momentum that they had. Because when you look at the top 5 teams right now, all are within 11 points of each other. From Chatamus Prime, that was in first place, all the way down to Running Late, who had 19 points. So 11 point differential coming through. And now you can see 39 points plus the extra 6 right there. That's going to put them at 45 points after 3 games. Great start.
It's a lot, and I'm really, really happy for them. It's been an incredible 3 games, and while we don't have our typical 6, we're now over the halfway mark with 2 games left for these teams to accumulate points. Let's see how they do so after we hear from Yeso.
Great work there from Hida, and they're doing much the same that we saw from Meowdy a day ago. If you remember yesterday, Meowdy putting up good points through games 1 and 2, but not winning either of those games, and then coming into game 3, taking the win there to really start to separate themselves from the pack. Hida doing much the same here. Solid points through the first 2 games, grabbing the win now in game number 3, and that one's going to feel really nice. They pick up 7 kills for themselves, and good damage across the board, great kill participation, so Hida doing a great job, and just a pretty impeccably played finish there at the end, and especially to Alexander. You heard T-Squared break it down. You know, you can break through that tactical shield from the Newcastle, but they didn't. They didn't, and Alexander was able to put in so much work before going down. I don't think he got a knock on either player, but broke shields on both of them, made them so weak so that when the push came in from both of his teammates, it was an easy cleanup to finish the game. So very well played there on the Newcastle, and Hida finishing strong in that game. That leads us right into our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 3 as we get ready for our final 2 games of the day. And we're going early. It's Ruse, and you heard Dia. Dia was popping off on this play as Slept On. We're trying to stay alive, and it's Karma all alone here. Does get the initial knock. Great shots here with the alternator, the tracking there to clean up this last kill. And this is so close in the 1v1, but Karma comes up huge to keep Slepton alive here. And this is important because as you can see on the screen at this point, they've got only 10 points through 2 games in the start of this one. And that is very important for Slepton to put points on the board because they've got so much ground to make up with their struggles last night and not getting a ton done in the first 2 games of today. So this was a very clean clutch by Karma to finish that last kill and keep his team alive at least a little bit longer. So well played there by Slepton. That is 3 games in the books. 2 more to go to complete our 5 for tonight, and that will wrap our first week of qualifiers. So can't wait to see how that ends up. We're going to a break right now. When we come back, though, T-Squared and Dia will check in with that Mobile 1 leaderboard and get you ready for Game 4.
When the chicken is this crispy and this tasty, it doesn't matter what else is for dinner. Tyson crispy strips are so delicious, they'll be your favorite part of every meal. More crispy chicken, more family faves, more to love. Tyson.
up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist, I'm never old enough to give a promise.
The day is more than halfway over now, and the Mobile One leaderboards, they hold all the answers, and they alone will determine who gets the most points at the end of tonight, who gets to carry those points on, and by how much. Right now, surprise, surprise, Tom, with their one win, Hida have thrown themselves into first.
Mobile One leaderboard to rule them all. Yes, Skeeta's been looking really good, honestly, and they have been playing confident. Chatham is prime. I mean, when we look at the teams on paper before we started, I don't think we would have guessed that this is how the leaderboard would be shaping up after the halfway point, because we have 2 games remaining, and these squads are putting the pressure on now. I mean, originally Meowdy was sitting pretty over towards the top. They still are, 22 points behind, so only 1 game, and they had a 40-point lead going into today. But again, if they continue to get that lead chipped away with, that's going to add more pressure, and that's what you need to do if you're these other teams. Continue to play your game. Take it one team fight at a time. Don't get too ahead of yourself, and just try your best to keep it within closing distance, because you do not want Meowdy to run away with this thing like they did yesterday. And now we get an opportunity to see some new names, some new players, some new squads, different compositions coming through. Newcastle's looking good. Gibby's looking good. Obviously, Horizon's been extremely useful. I love the way this team's been playing on your screen, and they've rightfully so earned themselves first place with 45 points. Looking on over towards their landing spot, looks like they are a potential no-name Overlook team. I didn't know that that was the original spot that they were going.
Fascinating, especially with the splits that can happen. But right now, they're, I suppose, trying to stay off everyone's radar as much as possible, because right now they haven't even poked into Overlook, knowing that there are so many contests there. Instead, opting for this, I'll say, suboptimal loot that you often get over by this no-name. Alexander going to be the one that's spearheading the attempt into the tunnels, and maybe even taking up a bit of Geyser to ease this pain. But Hida, for the most part, have been one of those teams that have really successfully today been playing their style and in their comfort zone, exactly as you ask, T-Squared. They're not looking for kills as the meta dictates. They are waiting for the game to come to them, playing for placement and doing it really, really well.
Taking a look at the zone, a lot of pings happening on top of the train tracks, and that is a very viable ending spot where we've seen a lot of different teams hold kind of that high ground looking down below, and that's where a lot of teams are going to continue to prioritize. But we already have a fight taking place. Dalton's going to go down. Pap's taking some damage on over towards the side. And I'm not quite sure if they're going to be able to recover this one. Looks like they're just going to run away because of a potential third party. You don't really see 50-50s happening over towards the back of Skyhook like this.
McLovin's found a kill in the meantime, so Paps will have to go over and provide some support if they actually want to commit to this fight. Otherwise, giving up McLovin for doomed might be more of a hindrance than anything. Dalt also should be moving on over, and they've got the opportunity, maybe, just maybe, to recover, but they're playing it extremely scared right now, and understandably so, as the Roos are on their tail. They're not even going to be the first team to drop. Revival Games are the first to drop. 19 squads left. Ring's not even close to closing yet, but Boffy's thinking about kicking this door in for a kill.
And the immediate headshot with the wingman is going to be able to knock Dalton out. And he's going to be waiting for his teammates to potentially go and grab that banner. But we did see Karma finish off a kill and Revival Games. And that was most likely happening over towards the Climatizer side. And we mentioned how their Achilles heel has really been the 50-50s off of the rip and not being able to get started, which is why I like what Gita's doing. And the fact that they've been able to, sacrifice some loot in order to continue to play the game and say, you know what? No Name isn't a very good position, but a lot of times we are going to get a beacon, and we're not going to get contested, so we're able to make some moves. As you see what Slepton's up to, they are trying to survive. Boat taking some damage on over towards the side. It looks like they're getting scouted. So not just one team in the area, 3 teams total, and it's Papa Midget with the car.
It was a good call from UT Squared to identify where this was happening. So many other teams prioritized this location as well and slept on. Big regretty spaghetti on taking this fight right now. Despite the fact that they have the kills, things are looking scary as Zero Marksmen already have a numbers advantage, though what they are missing is the shields right now. Moonshine is specifically operating on whites, offers up a member that could be picked off. And with Papa Midget pushing forward, they've got to support their Valk, who's already low, already down, and push this as soon as physically possible. Papa Midget still can make things happen, finds a knock, and puts them in a 2v1 situation. Exactly what Zero Marksman needed to recuperate from this situation. Vosky's low, but he's still alive, has slept on. Leave us in Game 4.
The problem with Slept On is, while they are trying to qualify here for Series E, they're also going for the ALGS qualifiers. And Series E, you want to continue to get practice, but you're not expecting a psycho challenge like this. 3 teams over towards the back acclimatizer. And Dio, you get used to fighting your 50-50s over here. But more importantly, you're used to your loot paths, your rotations that are going to come forward. Bots now trying to get the res right there onto Stomps. You can see Redeem a little bit on the ropes over towards the Lava Fissure side. This is where the zone's going to end, so you can anticipate a lot of teams are going to make their way over here, and Crojo is going to have to go absolutely nutty towards this backhand building.
What is happening right now? These are 2 teams that are just in shambles with, I assume, a third party coming in. There were charge rifle shots from afar, but good lord, Crow may be able to deal with all of them. There comes the third party, I believe. Gravity lift just a moment ago to be able to stabilize on the inside of this building. Still haven't lost one of these squads just yet, but Redeem maybe looking down the barrel of yet another squad as the Loba ult has gone off in the distance, and a lot of people are piling into Lava Fissure, an unexpected amount of people, especially considering how frequently Redeem are able to rotate here with no contest.
Yeah, remember, they're a countdown team, and now the Seer Ultimate's going to go down. Z Davis isn't going to be able to get recovered, but he's going to end up getting taken down, and the perfect timing to grab the banner, too. So almost methodically played there from Z Davis, realizing, hey, I know he can't get the res on me, but he can potentially go and get these banners. You see the movement, call it the movement, coming in for Crojo, the way that he's able to use that passive from Horizon to move around. But we do have a scan on top of the zone. You can see exactly where who's going to be posted up. Stomps and their team's going to take flight from the geyser area in the hot springs. They're trying to make some moves as well. They've lost on one player, as forgot to warm up, making their way on over towards Landslide now. We know where the zone's going to close. It's going to kind of close in between where Landslide and where bots are taking place. This is why this building gets so populated over here. Jalone is definitely Jalone in this type of scenario, but it doesn't matter. He almost drops Who single-handedly, doing his best Karma impersonation, and Who's going to survive temporarily. We do know that, after looking at that minimap, though, it didn't seem like there's going to be any third parties in the area.
Jalone did go really crazy, and I'll give him that, but the choice to go back was really the thing that did him in there. Unfortunate that they had to choose between going out now and playing the rest of the game as a 2-man, but Chadamus Prime, they've made an equal if not greater misstep, taking this fight in the train tunnel with Forgot to Warm Up coming into the third party. Chadamus Prime's already gone by the time we hit this, and a Seer ult is going to give you all the defensive information that you need. Forgot to Warm Up, have to play this one safe and instantly disengage, but not before Polar Bear ends up going down, taking the portal out. They now have to choose between playing this out as a 2-man and getting their teammate back, and unfortunately for them, it may be neither. Already, they lose another. Obsessed is down, and Buff Aim Assist clean up from the tunnel and beyond.
I like the way that Key's playing this one. He's playing as safe as possible because he understands how populated this area is going to be. Also, the head glitch on the back of that truck is very powerful, so now the push is coming in from the rest of the team. They're going to be able to clean up the last player, which is Sumo GG, and Forgot to Warm Up is eliminated. Talk about being debated by your teammates there, Diaz. Look like, all right, let's go, let's push. Yeah, great, purple armor swap. Just kidding. Everyone run back to the portal.
Yeah, it was a real quick turnaround, and I'm going to give that one entirely to Buff Aim Assist, because as crazy as it seemed to be able to turn that around, a big part of that was the Seer ult, was the quick reset, and you know, was taking advantage of the fact they knew those death boxes were going to be delicious. We did see Crojo get knocked in the meantime, by the way, so I'm keeping my eye out for whether we actually get another squad eliminated, as I believe he should have been able to get the 2 reses on his teammates. Hida, for their part, have, I think quite classically, picked their spot in zone, set up, and I don't think they'll move for a while.
Yeah, I highly doubt it, and it's nice to see the loot that they walked out of there with. Originally, we saw the 30-30 in hand with the purple mag. They switched on over to the charge rifle PK combo, and if you're able to, you know, get the Evo Shield charged up for you and the rest of your team, you're going to be in a good spot. Zero Marksman now making their way inside of this blue trailer area. You can see the wall has gone down. Nice job with the scout shots as well from Voski. But they are in the Seer Ultimate, and it's going to be double Seer Ultimates plus the Newcastle wall continuing to be put up. But the Send is coming through. The Volt is in hand, and they have one player completely out of position.
Oh, it's really tough to take down that Newcastle wall. Those Zero Marksmen can't afford to spend too much time on this. Moonshine's already almost down, half health, still manages to stay alive. Newcastle wall still being really difficult, but in a 3 versus 1, you are out-angled on out-angled in Stick Drift OP. We say goodbye to them in our 4th game of the day. Zero Marksman finally starting to pick up that pace that I was hoping that they would have going into the day. For a squad that did so well just 24 hours ago, they've lost a lot of momentum, and I'm hoping that they can pick things up in games 4 and 5.
Overall, 5th place yesterday, 38 points. Very solid performance, and it looks like they have started to pick things up because you saw the angles from Voski. I mean, at this level, very rarely do you hit a flank, especially in the Seer meta, to be able to come around and shoot people in the back for free numerous times, especially that Newcastle completely catching him off guard. Speaking of being caught off guard, Zone heavily pulls over towards Landslide, which a lot of these teams that were setting up over towards Lava Fisher and in between that on the train tracks are going to have to make some moves.
I'm thinking specifically of Hira right now, or Gita, however your accent tells you should pronounce them, as they're going to have to be the ones to make this really big move as a zone team. Zero Marksman pushing this high ground into a fuse could be the winning play as well, taking autonomy away from the squad on top. Vera is down and out, and to be able to usurp that spot for basically free is the massive upset.
Typically, this is a spot that you don't want to be at, this high ground area, especially in the Horizon meta. You're going to end up getting the black hole very quickly, but they didn't even utilize that. They just flew up, automatic weapons, right in your face, car from Moonshine. We saw the Volt coming through as well from Boski. Now they're in a little bit of a predicament, right? They do have the Skyward Dive if they want to go and use that one, but sometimes when you go to clean up a team that's in a bad position and playing a little scared, you get put in a bad position as well. So now they have to fight out of here and figure out how they're going to get into the zone. I mean, the zone's not that far, but you can see there's not much playable area.
They don't have that defense of the Newcastle either. What they do have is their sights on yet another kill. Already 8 of them right now. They've essentially got themselves, with that 9th kill, a 2nd place finish. And this is the power of the kill points that we talked about at the start of the day. Phase 1 esports are gone as well. So we're into the top 11, and the points keep piling in for Zero Marksman. They've got 19 of them on the day, and though I'm hoping for a really good placement from them, though I'm hoping for what we saw yesterday in terms of being able to stack things up and even win games, the fact remains that this is not a day where the games are happening to them. They are actively participating and still making things really difficult for those competitors that want those Series E partnered positions just as much as they do.
The play for them was to make their way on over towards that trailer. There's a little bit of the ledge from the mountain that they could leave, go and play, wrap around, and then make their move. They don't necessarily have to Skyward Dive. They could save that for a little bit later, just in case they need to use that for Zone 4. And there are a decent amount of squads eliminated, Dia. I mean, we're already looking at 30 players left, 11 squads. This has been a very fast-paced game number 4.
And if I learned anything from yesterday, it's that Game 5, these teams do not take the chill pill. They don't say, well, you know what, we're looking forward to the next couple days and we'll see what happens then. These are teams that will push the pace as we get further and further and say, you know what, we haven't got anything today, let's give it our all. Running Late, having done that a little bit earlier, have already lost out on one member, but still the opportunity to do so. These high verticality, high mobility legends that they have in the Horizon and the Valkyrie can change things quickly. 10x know and respect that, and more so, don't want to get dropped outside of zone when they've still got so much ground to cover. Hida still sitting in between them and safety. They ult right on over. We'll see where they end up going. Not a whole lot of cover out here, and Redeemer making their way in towards this trailer. Phobia's got to pass it up. It seems like they've found just these small rock outcroppings that they can play, and with Buff Avis looking at them, with Redeem looking at them, I don't know how long they'll survive.
Yeah, Redeem is a duo, though, so that's the saving grace for them. You can see fences are going to end up going down. Immediately shot there from Joey Blackout. Z Davis taking some damage out over towards the side. Nice little crevice that they found, but for how long, Dia, is the real question. You can see Redeem in a great position, fully torched. They're going to end up going out. Zero marksman now with a brawl happening directly underneath where they were previously at, right underneath where that zip line was, and Vosky going to have to put in some serious work. The bubble is very well placed. He's going to have to land the shots, but he's not going to be able to. Moonshine is there, though, and who? Getting dropped. Zero marksman. You were asking for it, Dia. You were wondering when the turnip was going to come, and they brought the heat right there in that specific team fight. Now Buff Amostus fighting on over towards the trailers, and these trailers are really realistically the only buildings that are in cover right now, so these are extremely important to go and lock down, and we saw the importance of the trailers in the previous game when it ended over towards the Overlook side. Icy getting dropped, but here comes the third party from Meowdy, and Meowdy taking things a little bit slower than they typically have, and this has been one of their better performances today.
It certainly is going to be, especially since 7th is the best that they've placed in today's games. One more squad, and they're going to have, unquestionably, their best performance of the day, and that's to say nothing of the kills. There is some insane stuff happening in this game, though, with the wacky trailer fight that we just saw, with Meowdy able to make it all the way up here, essentially uncontested, and with Who going out, even that and Hida aren't in center zone. That's still going to be held by Buff Aim Assist. We've got a lot of X factors in this game that I wasn't expecting, and I don't think anybody could have been. Now that we've got 15 seconds left for a lot of these teams to move in, we'll just have to see how things sort out, because I have no doubt in my mind that we'll be getting more explosive, more question mark fights as the day goes on.
And this is where the value of a Gibby is going to skyrocket. So if any teams in the lobby are still rocking that, you could see how much open space there is. Again, only one playable area that's a building. That's going to be that trailer as Garrett takes on over towards the high ground. He's just going to try to scout things out as much as possible with that wingman, and then eventually they're going to make their way on over towards the trailer where all these loot boxes are. But you don't want to turtle inside of there. That's where you want to play aggressive. Big flank coming in from Boski. You have the scout shots, not connecting on all of them, but still a decent amount of damage. Zone's starting to close in, and that's going to take his shields down temporarily, but they're going to move directly with the zone onto this team. And Perspicacity getting dropped in 7th place. Zero marksman, team that you've been looking out for, still in this one, right on the edge of the zone here. And they've been playing phenomenal so far. They're starting to heat up and almost catching up to their point total from yesterday, which was, again, around 35 points in 5th place. You can see how tight this lobby is. The difference between 1st and 10th place, maybe about 15 points total, which is still anyone's game.
You called it out, though. The value of a Gibby, it skyrockets, as does that of a Newcastle, and running across the open ground just isn't going to do it. Tenax, who barely survived a almost push from Redeem earlier, are going to be the ones that are still alive somehow in this corner, and with a really good position. The zone continues to pull to them. They're the only ones with cover here, and with running late down, we're in the top 5 squads. Meowdy are having their best performance of the day, and Tenax are in an upset position.
What a skyward dive to get to that little crevice. We saw them earlier when they were getting crept up on. The nade of the century doesn't connect. How does that make it in the back and still not hit anybody? Great frag, but not rewarded with the damage that they should have. There's the interception pylon, which someone should be shooting here very quickly, and that interception pylon is going nutty right now. I'm not going to lie.
It really is. This is like the MVP performance. Every single ultimate cooldown has really somehow managed to make Tenax's day. They got the Newcastle ult in the perfect place. They had the Miracle Valcult to take them here, and now the interception pylon working overtime. Really, they've rolled well. Hida, for their part, did end up picking their position really early, but haven't gotten nearly as much value out of the early Newcastle wall and interception pylon that they set up. Instead, they're going to have to make use, hopefully, of a just simple walk in. But I'm looking at this Valcult and wondering if that's going to be the play. As Hida are focused right now. They have some rocks for cover. It's a very difficult time of the game to Valcult, though, and I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, if you Valcult right now, everyone's going to look at you. So unless you see other Valk teams going into the air, what you do is you use their Valkyrie to kind of scout out where they're getting shot from, and then you could go and do that type of play. But you could see they just need to foot it a couple of meters, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So there goes the Newcastle wall. It's directly right on the edge of the zone. Interception pylon needs to happen over the big wall, and that's going to go down on top of the queue. So great execution. They're not fully in the zone, though, so they're going to have to continue to advance just a little bit. A sliver of that Newcastle wall still in. Interception pylon is exposed now, And unfortunately for Alexander, just a little bit away from where he was trying to set up, you found some safe haven for Bukuyu, and he's going to continue to use that gold armor to heal up, especially with 4 cells. The value of that is going nutty, but flatline Volt combo, not much in terms of ammo over here. Has to be fairly careful. And another Newcastle wall goes down. The ultimate Excel was perfectly utilized there from Alexander, and that's what's really key about one of your IGLs, saying, hey, I found a safe spot, come over here, and you kind of just yell at your teammates that you're safe, and they found a little bit of safe haven. The problem is with 20 seconds left, they're going to be one of the first teams that has to move, and without a Gibby here, and without your Newcastle wall, what's the play?
Yeah, they don't have another ult excel, right? And Meowdy have been making this game so difficult for them ever since they tried to push up into the zone. We talked about this on the break, T-Squared, but the counter to everything Newcastle is shooting your gun at it. And Hida are definitely absorbing a lot of bullets from Meowdy. That is one thing that Meowdy can absolutely do, is take shots at you. Hida, for the moment, have managed to avoid a lot of focus. They've even spotted out Redeem right now, and it seems like their play is going to be to go forward, try and put themselves in top 3 for the 4th time today. They've already found Redeem. Z Davis is chunked out. Joey Blackout's not going to be able to survive there. And they push up and try and take this Newcastle wall away, but the slow is everything. Alexander does end up going down, and Blake is still alive in the top 3. Gina have clutched it, but they still have to wait to see if they can make top 2.
He shouldn't have went through the med kit right there. He could have stuck that, but right now he's just not even going to go for the res. And you got to use that knockdown shield, and there it is. Big mistake charging that, Dia. I mean, you get that frag damage. It looks like a great idea, but you're exposing yourself to all of the teams shooting you in the back. Eventually, Redeem's going to have to just walk towards you. So they did everything perfectly up into that point. Minor mistake, punish hard.
Hida are out now for that, and 10X on the low ground are opening things up. Meowdy had a slow start, just like they did yesterday, but they're coming around the corner! And with this Newcastle wall protecting them, ironically, Cody's going to go down. Garrett tries to lay the damage from afar, and they've taken down their first member, their second, and their third! Meowdy end up taking game 4.
Big game from Meowdy when they desperately needed it. The lobby was getting a little bit out of control. They had such a dominant performance yesterday, had a 40-point lead after yesterday, and now they show what they're made of in game number 4. Couldn't pick a better time to go and do it, and they slow played it. They didn't take all the team fights along the way. They just waited for their opportunities, played the end game, and they picked up some decent placement points with some decent kills as well.
They made really good use of their team fighting potential when they absolutely needed to. It was a game of really sharp decisions from Meowdy, as they recognized that everyone in this lobby is absolutely ready to fight them, and that more often than not, third parties are occurring. Third parties that claimed the lives of so many squads, including bots early on, despite the fact that both Redeem and bots lost members here. It was bots that ultimately went down, and Zero Marksman who cleaned up a lot of that lost momentum in the lobby, being able to do some miraculous things, starting with this RV, but then transitioning us over onto the sniper tower, the escape from the sniper tower. I think this is just going to be a Zero Marksman highlight reel really up until the very end.
Unfortunate for Gita, they lost out on the opportunity to really separate themselves even more from Meowdy, and that minor mistake, again, may end up costing them a decent amount of points, especially when you look at the team that was ahead of them, and that's the big differential that you're trying to make up. But shout out to Flip Tropics in the chat. He called it way before, and he said, Meowdy's going to get this one. And he says, like I said, Meowdy win, dude. He's on top of it.
That's what we like. We like faith, and that is something that, honestly, Meowdy should be thanking you for as well. Staying true. As we all recognized yesterday what an incredible amount of potential this roster has. To see them be able to execute right here, they did really well. Hida also, I will say, despite their mistake at the end, as we say, did have a really nice recovery from what was another mistake previously, and we called that out to good IGLing. I want to give that over to them further. Like, even despite this movement here, they do end up making top 3 again.
I mean, it was such a great frag grenade, and sometimes a great play like that and the overexcitement can get you punished. And when we're looking at how talented this lobby is, half a second, Dia, that's all it took for them to go and lose all 3 of their lives. we know that the zone was closing right there. So eventually they're all going to have to push out. I don't know what they were thinking in terms of being able to go and clean that up so fast and then come back. A lot of people forget that that Newcastle wall is going to stun you. So Alexander should know that in that type of instance. But I think that they just were playing so confident. Nothing's wrong with playing confident right there. And again, I don't think if that was a play out 10 times out of 10, I feel like that's the only time they would go and make that play. But either way, to find that little crevice, use the ultimates to get to that point. There was such high-level Apex throughout there, you can't be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I find myself really happy with what we've seen after 4 games, and as we talked about in this one, we know that Game 5 does tend to get a little bit chaotic, so before we end up seeing that, I want to take a breath of fresh air and hear from our friend Yeso.
Okay, Meowdy with the win there. Really quick, don't really have anything to add in terms of the Hita point. I think T-Squared doing a really good job of breaking down that it was a confident but likely unnecessary play there, especially when you've dropped nades on them, they're holding behind the castle wall, and you actually already have that thermite ticking on a player. They're going to get pushed out of the zone. I think you probably take the position more and not get greedy for the kills, but I think T-Squared broke that down wonderfully. But Meowdy grabbing a win here, and that's now 3 wins in 9 finals games for Meowdy so far in the qualifiers. They have been so good so far, and they are the clear favorites here early on, regardless of what happens in this final game. We'll have to see if they can pass up Hita for first place here tonight, as of course they finished in first last night, but regardless, they continue to put points on the board, and they're looking really damn good. They pick up 12 kills in this game. That's a 24-point performance for Meowdy, who started a little slower this time around, but they're really hitting their form here in games 3 and 4, and they'll be looking to finish strong in game number 5. Both Garrett and Awesome Tryhard leading the way in kills. Everybody bringing good damage to the table. Really a solid team performance all across the board. And that brings us to our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 4. And it is this earlier fight with Zero Marksman up around this sniper tower, trying to get up, apply pressure up here, and they get flesh on that first player. Great shots from Voski there, just beaming, and they are able to pretty quickly clean up here. Moonshine dropping there for the attempted finish on the final kill, but this is just well played by Zero Marksman. Good use of the gravity lift to get up high, get those sightlines on these players, just trying to hold and use the cover at the top of this tower. But Zero Marksman, they won't stand for it. They're gonna clean you out, make you flee your safe position, and they're going to punish you. So just well played from Zero Marksman, hoping for more in the future. Another day where Zero Marksman with signs of life, some good moments, but need to still kind of put it all together if they really want to get up there and contest Hita, Meowdy, Redeem, etc. But good play there in game number 4. We're going to a break right now. When we come back, it's our final game of the day. We'll take stock of where everybody stands on that Mobile One leaderboard, and then T-Squared and Dia will have all the action for you in a few.
What's up, guys? Tyler Endress, CEO and founder of Esports Arena. And did you know that Esports Arena is located inside Walmarts all throughout the country? We're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now at one of our awesome Walmart stores. Let's go take a look. Fantastic, right? So typically in the front of the store, you see we've got a Subway here, we got some Walmart services, but right there is the Tulsa Esports Arena. Right up front. So literally, if you're just doing some grocery shopping, you're gonna check out over here. Simple as that. Or you could check out right in here. We've got Calvin, my man Calvin right here. Hey, yo, log me in on station number 8.
You got it, Tyler. All
right, I'm getting logged in. We're ready to go play some video games. Look at that. The best video cards in the industry. The best CPUs in the industry. The best gaming chairs in the industry, the best Razer peripherals in the industry, the best monitors that let you hit that 200 frames per second in the industry, no screen tearing whatsoever. All right here at Esports Arena. Now I'd let you keep following me along, but I got a tournament to play tonight, so I'm gonna get some practice in.
Season 6 preseason qualifiers, day number 2. It's going to end right here. This is the 5th game of the day. We've gotten 4 so far. And of those 4 games, we got our Mobile One leaderboards to take a look at who's in the lead. Hida still managed to maintain it with a 3rd place finish last game and a 54 points on the day.
You got to give credit to Meowdy, though. I mean, Gida's playing great, no doubt about it, but Meowdy really needed that win for their confidence. They also needed to find their play style once they know that they can't play as aggressive as they did yesterday. Sometimes you just don't have, that X factor that you did the day before. And it could be the lobby. It could just be so many different factors that are coming into play. Maybe they were on fire yesterday, and maybe today they've cooled down a little bit. You're not going to perform the same every single day, but you have to make adjustments to it and find out how you can win in different ways, and that's what Meowdy was able to do.
Well, we can trade off shoutouts as well, because right underneath them, running late, like you said at the start of the day, apt to their name, didn't show up yesterday, but today have done so in a big way, making top 3 after these 4 games. One more chance to find themselves their first win and put themselves perhaps at the top, with Chadamus Prime right underneath them, ready to take their spot.
Yeah, so many talented players coming through here that we haven't really heard before, and I keep saying this like a broken record, but that's what Series E is all about. It's a proving grounds. It's that incubator league. It's how you can practice and get better. You're practicing against so many different players and so many different styles that you're going to get things that you've never seen before, and in positions that you've never really seen before. So whether it's slept on, for example, realizing, oh wow, there's 3 teams landing in the back of Climatizer, they're going to now figure out what that's going to be like. And I'm sure they're going to continue to make adjustments night after night, figure out how they can approach the situation. And what's so surprising is you don't know, unless you look at the team list beforehand, if that's going to be the exact teams that you're going to be going against. So there's a lot of layers that come to this. And, it makes you wonder, what is the goal there for Slept On? Do they want to continue to lock down their spot, or do they want to switch things up? We know Dome has been completely open. We've seen the 3v1s coming in from Karma. It's not like they're shooting bad. It's just a matter of there's too many teams. There's too much congestion back there. And when you're an aggressive team, you want to take fights. Sometimes the best thing to do is just get your loot and get out of there, split the POI, and just peace out.
Certainly so. I honestly find myself quite worried about what call they'll end up making, and worried not because I'm worried they'll make the wrong decision, but because I'm invested in the future of the team, of all of these teams, and I want to see them succeed really right now. And I wonder whether they're looking at it in the short term, the long term, what the play is going to be for this 5th game and for the coming qualifiers. We'll get all those questions answered and more, though, as we drop into our 6th and final lobby. One more time for these teams to shine. I want to call it out as well, since a lot of you will have noticed the very same thing that I did in the loading in screen. Ruse are playing as a one-man squad right now. So
what a
trooper. After a tough day, they went, I'm out. And one guy went, not me, I'll do it.
You know what happened? Those 2 guys got in a fight. I'm just calling it out right now. We've all been there. Well, maybe not all of us, but I have definitely yelled at my teammates before, and we've gotten offline, and maybe that's not the case. Maybe they just had something to do. I have a feeling those 2 had beef. Shout out to the solo.
Yeah, you got to keep the team together. Show them what you can do alone. Bots, for the moment, though, are going to be trying to recover from a teammate that has already been isolated and taken down. Stomps has unfortunately fallen. I believe he's gotten a good amount of damage in so far. The thing is, JQ and Jalone aren't really in a position to capitalize on it. The Ruse, unfortunately, go out. Goodbye, Raze. I respected the time that you were here.
And that's going to be all she wrote. But, I still have to give him credit as we take a look at the zone. You know what? Climatizer is free right now. That's unbelievable. After all is said and done, after all of that analysts talk and breaking things down, they're by themselves. And that has to be refreshing in this type of scenario, as Papa Midget's the first one to get down. Zero marksman now on the ropes over here towards the Overlook side. And it makes me wonder, is this where they were landing before? I feel like Zero Marksman was the team that was going Climatizer.
I mean, they've I believe alternated before. I'm not gonna stick to my guns on it, since I'm really sidetracked by the fact that Stick Drift OP is on the ropes with the Arc Star, but they've already gotten that initial knock, so should be able to convert. A nice climb up the side of the building, not gonna go quite the way that a lot of ways wanted to, but Flintzar's holding it down up here. This Peacekeeper is going nasty, and he takes out 2 in the space of 10 seconds. Stick Drift OP have taken down Zero Marksman for the final time today.
Nice job from Stick Drift OP, putting together a really solid team fight, and it has to feel good when you pick up all 3 of those kills. I mean, 400 damage in one fight, that's a fantastic number, and doing it without the Seer ultimate, just a straight up clean fight, is now we see what Who's up to, and who gave him this armor? Double gold and a blue.
That's pretty crazy, and it's going to serve them really well. Without a whole lot of time to pick up bats, having cells to pop really quickly for a lot of effective health in the early game is nice, and having kills right in front of them is even nicer. Who are already on the warpath and show no signs of slowing down. They could be sidetracked by Survey Camp, but look at their map in the upper left. The ring is right ahead of them, so moving forward here not only potentially gets them kills, but a better spot. No way. No way are they back chasing this, right? That's not what's happening.
You never know.
Oh my god.
They could be up to no good, making trouble in the neighborhood. I mean, we know that the last game is always a very hyper aggressive game, but right now it looks like they're going to play it a little bit safe over towards the back end side of Climatizer.
Okay, interesting. I don't mind the Climatizer move. While it is difficult to get out of Climatizer, the ring does show, or it does seem like, for a lot of the more experienced IGLs, that it should be pulling further and further out. And actually, they pinged on the minimap just moments ago as to a prediction where I think a lot of people will be prioritizing the zone to go, who already have a really nice path there. And we saw an ending much like this yesterday. With a quick zip line over, they'll be able to play zone while the rest of the lobby plays really aggressive, which is an equally good way to play things out.
Our 301 shots coming through as we see the mini-map and where the rotations are going to come through and how much cluster of teams are at the bottom-hand side. Bots with the shots coming through. Polar Bear is going to get dropped, and one more player should remain, and that's going to be all she wrote. Actually, there is one more coming up in the backhand side. Excuse me, my bad. Forgot to warm up now. Is eliminated, but this is what we expect in the final game, D, at third party after third party.
Redeem pushing the envelope now. Unfortunately, not shredding it, as we didn't get those Octane Rev squads that we were hoping for at the start of the day, at the beginning of this week. Crojo, though, still is going to do his best impression of that, starting off the fight basically on his own, throwing for the black hole for the displacement, and the Arc Stars to follow. 73 for the tick on this Arc Star, as Crojo ends up low ground just in time to catch the death box falling from above. Bots are out, and we're down to 14 squads before the first round even closes.
Expect this pace to continue as Slepton continue to push forward over here. Boat's going to take on over towards the high ground. The flatline shots not connecting nearly as much as he was hoping for, but that's an opportunity to hit the battery behind the blue crates, and he's even going to peek because he has the information coming in from the Seer. Karma now going to try to take on over towards the high ground as well. Arcstar was prepped, but it's going to be Adam going down. Flatline on flatline action happening over here for Team Slepton. This is their type of style of play. Unfortunately for them, they've lost out on one of their MVPs, and now here comes the caustic gas. And
no!
Whoops, who put that there?
Stinky Papa whiffs on the ult, but Revival Games do keep the W keys pressed down. Boat is out, and Revival Games are going to keep pushing on up, knowing that the third party means cleaning up both squads, not letting either take this reset. They have that top floor locked down, even without the caustic gas, and are going to be able to trap up this building. Tommy's on the roof to cover any other exits, and we continue to lay in damage. Unfortunately for Revival, they were the third party, and now they're getting thirded by a charge rifle from way far away, allowing this team the opportunity to relocate, evidently safely. Zark downed, but not in this fight, and Revival Games couldn't quite find the knock off that.
Yeah, Revival wanted the smoke, and then they didn't want the smoke, and they may want the smoke a little bit later. We'll see, but it has to be the cost of gas if it's going to be anything, not the smoke. As Perspicacity getting some clean kills on over towards the backhand side of the map, as Gita is looking to put some more charge rifle to work. It's Alexander again doing the Lord's work, tossing on over his purple shield for a blue to get that 137 away. I mean, he's got the 4.8. He's got plenty of ammo over here. Love the way that these guys are playing. I mean, their positioning has been great. I think they learned from their previous mistake, and I have high hopes for them, not only in this game, but the next 2 nights for the qualifiers as well.
It's fascinating to see this as well, because once we get the actual look at the charged rifler from afar, you realize the interruption on No Name was way further away than really any chance of impact. There's no way that Gita actually finish off that third party, but they've spotted a res ship going off in the distance, and maybe capitalizing on that. They're only a hop, skip, and a jump away. Instead, going to opt for a little bit of extra damage. The fact remains, they're not giving up this position. Slept On are getting everyone back into the game, and that surprises me, because Gita not giving up this position must mean that I think the circle is ending there. Characteristically, that's what they'll play.
Love how this team has played overall. I mean, they've been one of the lone teams to set up fairly early, and unfortunately in these final games, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You're going to see a lot of fighting continuing to happen over towards these southern sides, because everyone's trying to make up these massive amounts of points. One of those teams, Chatham is Prime. They already got 1 knock, and you can see Tommy and Nutella going down.
Well, we've seen this story before. Pushing the building, Revival Games, they decided they wanted the smoke, and they ended up getting the smoke. Redeem now maybe giving it to somebody else, as already Black Hole's been piled in there, and Z Davis can go on the hunt for some additional angles. Perhaps a flank around the outside of the window, not going to find it for now. Crojo's trying to take a reset, but gets shot from afar. Cody taking him down. Redeem have gotten a little bit too antsy themselves. Joey Blackout even being forced to back off and leave Crojo to the Wolves, or in this case, to the Cats as Meowdy come in.
The longbow from Cody, that thing's still in the game, or is that the Rampage? I can't really tell. It's going to be Karma with the Spitfire coming in. Doesn't have many attachments, and it looks like they probably went for a res in order to have the gray armors this late in the game based on where they've been landing, and Kara putting in some serious work over here. Barely has any ammo in his back pocket. Garrett going to get knocked by Z Davis in the Redeem squad with the Scout, and No Name's getting lit. Who's got the party over here? It's like TwitchCon over there.
For a place that literally doesn't have the zone either, I'm surprised so many teams are focusing on these kills. Chatham is Prime still are trapped in this building with a plethora of squads surrounding them, most notably Meowdy and the squad that was trying to third party them, the recently revived Slept On. I'm really interested in how that'll end up going, the interaction between those two squads. 10X unfortunately won't live to see it, as they are gone to buff aim assist. Chatham is Prime keep holding it down, lobbing frags to keep themselves safe. They just have to make sure no one pushes them, and they should get out of this alive, right?
10X sounds like some sort of prescription or something like that. I don't know. You have to read the small print before you take that one, because there's going to be some sort of repercussions. Chatham is Prime in 3rd place, and I love the way that these guys have been playing. Adam has been nutty. Southpaw with the wingman has been phenomenal. This is just Zone 2 closing. You would think this is Round 3. That's the weapon you want for when teams are going over towards the skyward dive. Not going to be able to connect there for Adam. And they're going to try to figure out how they are now going to rotate forward as Slept On gets some armor upgrades, gets some extra loot along the way. Karma going from the gray to the blue. And they originally had 20 shots in the Spitfire, so I'm sure they changed out some weapons as well. But there's the sharing of resources. Plenty of resources to go around. Also have a little bit of safe haven area to play. Psycho's going to go and use that Heart Seeker to find out if anyone's above. And speaking of above, Alexander hasn't left this spot. He's continuing to charge rifle and grief this lobby.
It's a really interesting change in tactics as well, and I mean, clearly it's working. Alexander is laying in the deeps, but for a team that has typically been playing more for zone than anything else, Hida specifically elected a spot that they knew could not have possibly been the ending, to try and take advantage of all the teams coming from the south. Is it working? Who's to say? For right now, they don't have too many kills just yet, but I look forward to how it ends up turning out for them later on. Meowdy, in the meantime, have their own conundrum as they're getting pushed by Slept On once again. The team that tried to sandwich them earlier now getting turned on. Cody's been team shot. Garrett is down, and Slept On come back from their own slump, taking out Meowdy.
That's the team fight confidence that you need to see coming in from them. They were taken out previously by the same squad. The third party coming in, though. Great tracking coming in from Boat, but it's not enough with the Scout. Lightstar Joe and their squad are going to be introduced to the fray. And third and fourth parties coming in as Chatham's Prime now enters the fray. The knockdown shield spray coming in from Adam. He needs to go and hit a battery, so he's going to back on off as everyone's hitting batteries around the corner. Running late is going to get dropped by Chatham's Prime. What a timing on that third party. And there are, again, 2 teams going out as Chatham's Prime takes over the Overlook area.
Chatham's Prime showed up late to that fight purposefully and ended up getting themselves to the 10-kill mark by doing so. All of the loot that was off to the eastern side of the map now belongs to them. They've got a prime rotation up towards Climatizer and the surrounding area, a building that's free there as well. And I find myself envying Chatham's Prime and wondering if this will look like Game 2 with another win for them, because this level of being able to stack yourself up in the mid-game can only mean good things. I'm checking out a Dam as he scouts forward, and also Redeem, who have yet to make their way into the ring itself as we look towards our next zone.
Yeah, Redeem's kind of found their play style. It's similar to what Meowdy did in the previous game, where they're running around, finding open areas in the map, taking secluded fights when they go and need to. Z Davis needs to heal up, though. It's going to be a great grab lift play coming in from the enemy team to take on over towards the sky, and they don't even stand a chance.
Oh my
Perspicacity
god.
With the absolute domination of Redeem there. I mean, did they take any damage? Yeah, it looked like they just flew in. Almost TSM-esque. It was just, who is this team?
I really don't think they did. This is the perspicacity that we saw in Game 2 as well. Not only did we have Chatham's Prime dominating, but we had them taking team fights with extraordinary confidence, and it's gone from south to north. From over by Dome in Game 2 to up by Climatizer in Game 5. It seems like the extremes of the poles are where perspicacity really feel confident, and right now, moving themselves down towards the actual Climatizer body itself, they'll be able to make their way, perhaps using these zip lines in the low ground over to where the zone is actually closing, and keep taking these team fights along the way. These guys are playing confidently, and most importantly, T-Squared, as you recognized, they're playing together.
No doubt about it. They full sent that immediately, and it was a great grab lift from Paps. They found out Z Davis. They got him a little bit off guard. Joey Blackout didn't have any time to react with his defensive walls. There was zero chance that they were going to be able to do anything, because once you start taking flesh meds like that, and a team's just going to full send it on you. Not only that, the cross-map wingman shots as the Rampage from Bokiyu gets introduced to Scissors back. That is going to be the team inside, most likely. So the push is going to be coming in very shortly. Another push is happening for Chatham's Prime inside of, I like to call these the Twinkie buildings, honestly. I don't know what other way to put them, but they're going to be taking some damage on over towards the side and have to play this fairly careful. Slacking, not taking flesh meds, that's not what you're looking for. You got to slow play this here. With the amount of fences in there, it's almost impossible to push in, but it doesn't matter. Samurai, the first player to go down. Southpaw trying to push through on over towards the doors, and the pushes from Chatham's Prime.
Oh yeah, Southpaw!
Lethal.
Oh yeah, this is the Southpaw we came to know and love in Game 2. He returns with the God movement, the God shots, and unfortunately for them, now the third party. A frag does stall that out for a little bit, but they haven't been able to get their third player back into the game. Instead, Buff Aim Assist are going to claim that life, take down Southpaw, and effectively neuter a squad, taking out, I mean, one of the most impressive players on the day. Zainu's going to keep pushing this, see if he can find that next kill, but their focus has to be on the ring as well, and I like that they're taking a second to sit back. They've already crippled Chatham's Prime. Adam is the last one left alive, left to rat things out here, and that's going to have to be enough for now.
They have what, I guess if it was a ranked game, it's like, do you guys have your points? Yeah, we have our points. We're good. McLovin with the PK. The shots are connecting. The pace is absolutely insane. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the final game of Night 2 of the qualifiers here for Season 6 of Series E Apex Legends. Some great talent that we have here makes us really excited to see which teams are going to make their way on top of this Mobile 1 leaderboard. McLovin with the flat line shots from across the map. I love the play from Adam, though. He understood the situation. He got the assignment. And look at him really avoiding the rest of these teams.
I know I'm enjoying it, T-Square. This is, I want to say, a build-up even from what we saw yesterday, and I really appreciate that, especially when in open qualifiers so often it can feel like you're getting the same squads running against each other again and again. We are getting totally different teams, even if they're made up of the same players, because they're adapting from day to day. Perspicacity really embodying that even right now, as they've been able to take this RV, a common god spot in the climatizer zone, and been able to take it without contest, even harassing those teams that are still in climatizer. Looking for that kill on Alexander McLovin. Does take a little bit of damage, but places an Arc Star real well to do just that touch of damage, and just like Chadamus Prime in Game 2, keep people afraid of you.
McLovin with the peak shots through the window. Looking like he wants to continue to add some more damage over here. 5 seconds until his next Q, so he's just trying to linger around, own real estate for his team, and bully this team. And hopefully they get distracted or focused by numerous teams. You can see the cancellation coming through. That's going to give them tons of information. And you'd be surprised when you're on that Seer queue how long it actually lasts. Look at that. It's a long time of information going forward. About 5 seconds of information for McLovin. Has his ultimate in the back pocket. They have this entire fence line to go and play with, so they're in a great spot right now.
He's even forced out the Newcastle wall, and that's a big shift in play. Perspicacity know that there's no way that you can escape unscathed from here and just get to keep laying in the damage. Alexander's down, and well, it's not Perspicacity's kill. It's them putting themselves into the top 4 and maybe top 3 if they can take out this squad. And oh, they can! McLovin, he decides to pull the trigger. He's one of the other Seers popping off today. Gita are not going to make top 3 for the very first time today, as Perspicacity deny them even their very identity. They and Buff Amosist now fighting for the outside.
Great plays there from McLovin. The confidence just oozing from this player. He was standing inside of the window, just laying in flatline shots over and over again. The Arc Star against the wall, destroying the interception pylon. Love this play from Zanu, though. Going and taking some high ground. Has a little bit of area to work with on top of this one as well. Once that bubble's going down, they're going to be in a great spot. There's the EMP. Perfectly timed with the flank from Zanu. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have any follow-up. Is able to survive with his life. McLovin continuing to add damage over towards the back of the truck. This is the final fight of the game.
Good play from Match, and his Buff Amosist struggle to push off the incoming push from Perspicacity. There's still another squad left alive, though, who have still managed to stay in this one, and the Thermite starts doing them in. Key is going to commit to this. He's going to try and send his squad to second place, and he does it, but he pays for it with his life, and now Perspicacity are unleashed as they W-key this one forward. They know it's the last game of the day. They know it's their last chance to put up points, but they've lost Dalt, and in a 2 versus 2 scenario, will they be able to clutch it? Coming out over the wall, it's just Sainu in this corner. Last couple shots will land, and Perspicacity take the last game of the day.
Smart play to get on top of the crate right there. Just slow play that one. You could see him back off, wait for his teammate, make sure he's not taking a 1v1. The PK can be unforgiving. Instead of hitting just for 9, hits for 99. That's how you play it. McLovin was going nutty. Dalton, Paps, everybody on this team really followed suit. And again, we're seeing some names that we haven't really seen before. I mean, you think you could take a guy named McLovin seriously? Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Look at the way this dude's playing.
Yeah, you can. We stand McLovin in this house, and honestly, a lot of our Seer players really popped off today. I talked a little bit earlier about the lack of mobility on this Legend. It's definitely been made up for with brains and confidence on these guys, but that wasn't the only thing that we saw. We had our fair share of clowning around as well, especially with the rife third parties that we saw in places like No Name and then Overlook, making our way up towards the climatizer ending.
Everything that you want for in a game, in a final game here of the night, was just so exciting to see from all fronts. I mean, Southpaw showed what he was made of, the flatline, the wingman. Flatline was really putting in work today. I mean, usually it's the R301 that we see, but you can see if you are having some great tracking, PK shots, just plunking people left and right, maximum damage, just everybody full sending. I wish almost every single game was like that. I mean, we know that a lot of teams play the end zone and it gets very slow paced at times, and that's what makes games like this so exciting when everybody is just fighting out and duking it out.
Yeah, this is really a good look from them, and even from Buff Aim Assist here at the end, to be able to make this play for second, find these kills, eliminate who, they've put themselves in a great position over the course of the last 2 days to look for that Series E partnered spot. This is what we're all talking about. This is what we're all thinking about over the course of these qualifiers, is who's going to be our next partnered squad. And when I see all these teams performing in the way that they are, I am so excited for what Series E Season 6 will bring. To break down a little bit more of that and send you off for the night, I want to hear from Yeso.
Big thank you to T Squared and Dia. They crushed it last night and tonight on the cast. So much fun to hear all of their insights, and they definitely bring a ton of fun to the action here today. Perspicacity finishing the day with a strong final game. They were already in the top 4. Not sure how that victory moves them up in the standings, possibly here at the end, but a very good win to end the day. Let's take a look at our final champion squad here today as they pick up 11 kills for themselves. McLovin leading the way. I know T Squared, big fan of that name, and I'm a big fan of what we saw from McLovin here today, and especially in that final game. And this leads us, of course, into our final Mobile One high performance moment here for today's broadcast, and it's going to be this chaotic fight here with Chadamus Prime getting in early around this building. And you heard Dia, very complimentary of Southpaw, talking about Southpaw being one of the best performers here today and was popping off in this game, was already kill leader, had 5 kills and 3 assists, and playing aggressively with these peaks. He's just doing work with that flatline, and you can see holding the angle perfectly for that final PK shot. But of course, it was Buff Aim Assist that rolled in afterwards to throw a wrench into the plans here of the squad, and unfortunately Southpaw and the rest of the crew weren't able to finish on a win, but still Chadamus Prime with a great performance in game number 5 in this fight, showing it very well. Southpaw just was wonderful here with the PK flatline combo, and the combination of Southpaw, Adam, and Slacking just doing some good work there. Let's check out, though, most importantly, our Mobile One leaderboard here to end the day. Meowdy was in first place last night, and they likely should still hold on to first place overall, considering they get another 52 points here tonight, tied with Perspicacity. But it's Hida at the top of the standings, much closer this time around as Hida hits that 60-point threshold, and Chadamus Prime right on their heels with 53. But that is how things end here tonight, and we will keep an eye on how these standings shift in terms of the qualifiers as a whole when we come back in 2 weeks, because remember, no Series E Apex Legends qualifiers next week. It will be the week after, where we finish them off on Tuesday and Wednesday of that week. But this is a hell of a start to all of this fun, and it just makes me so excited to kick off Season 6. I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to it, but still some things to decide before we get there. That is going to do it for us here tonight, folks. Thanks so much for coming to hang out with us. We certainly appreciate it. Make sure to check out esportsarena.com if you're looking to register for qualifiers or pick up any Esports Arena merch, or if you need any more info about Series E. It's all over at esportsarena.com. My name is Yeso. As always, a pleasure to be your host here tonight. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, thank you so much for joining us here tonight, and we will see you again next time.